Nth Circle Studio presents. This is a work of fiction. Yes. This game uses an autosave feature. Do not quit while you see this icon, the one up there. By the way, Just the Guys arrived. This is the demo of... I don't know if the title card is... Of the Devil! Start. Rain sizzles off neon above me. The summer showers create a noted uptick in the flickering of holograms down the street, and a slight blunting of the night's ambience. Emphasis on flight. Lights, cameras, and constant noise. This city's got insomnia, with the uneven heart rate to prove it. There's no escaping the secondhand nervous energy of it all, but I'm plenty acclimated. Just a wave of worries cresting on the surface, while I hold my breath deep below. Besides, a microdose of nightlife anxiety suits my mood just fine. Because if I'm not careful, this client of mine's gonna die in jail. Morgan. Criminal attorney. It's hard to get away with murder these days. People are still presumed innocent, at least on paper. And by the time they're in cuffs, there's hardly any shadow of doubt left. Because this whole world's lit up, mapped out, never unknown, and always online. Whether it's incandescent or neo or hollow, whether it's LCD, LED, or just the nearest phone screen, there's light shining on every last pixel of the map, and someone's always watching. Solitude's a rarity. Anonymity is scarce. And criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. So you take whatever clients you can get. You don't balk at public defender work, no matter the hour. And should you find yourself in one of the last dark, quiet corners left in the whole world, well, smoke 'em if you got 'em. Not that there's much else I can do until my phone. Counselor, your public defender contract has been approved. You are expected at the 254th precinct. Present your ID at the door to enter. Arrive at least 15 minutes early. I'll try. Looks like the paperwork came through. It's nearly 3:15 now. 90 minutes since I took the job. Probably makes it about 2 hours since they finally got smart enough to ask for a lawyer. If they're really smart, they'll have used that time to get some rest. Because now that I'm here, things are going to get busy. Episode 0. And he shall appear. Precinct 254. It's a goddamn ghost town. With nothing but a hologram for a welcoming party. I'm here about a homicide. High clearance rates be damned. You'd think they'd treat it with a little more gravitas. But whatever. If I'm that unimportant, they've got no right to complain if I take my sweet time getting checked in. And I should take my time. Information's like cash in my line of work. You gotta spend it to make it. And if you're flat broke, no one will give a shit what you have to say. So let's see if I can't poke around and shake some change loose. Use mouth to look around for points of interest that you can click on. You'll earn credit for investigating anything and everything you can. Credit is both a measure of your information gathering skills and your own credibility, so don't go broke. Does it really want me to use the mouse? High traffic hallways, utilitarian, multiple screening stations. Pragmatic brutalism, so textbook it can teach a freshman level architecture. Can almost hear the building drone on and on about concrete and iron and hard right angles. The civil planning equivalent of battle scars. We were fight one so long ago that they're starting to look ridiculous. I'm sure it was all very imposing back when it was built, but walking in here now, with crime rates where they are, feels like a hospice ward for heavy-handedness. Alright, mouse. Okay, I do need to, use the mouse, unfortunately. So this is not a, I mean, this does appear to be you know, what the one of those. But no, this does appear to be a, well, I think I knew that this is a I just didn't know it wouldn't have controller support, which is fine. Visual novel. Why am I brain freezing on that? I'm sorry. Although it might be more of an adventure kind of game than a more straight visual novel. Right, observe. An actual police lineup. It's like I walked into a museum. The museums tend to feel expensive and clean. Dusty, forgotten, probably lots of unpacked boxes. This homicide department's more like an attic. Hard to believe they were ever so busy that they had witness making ideas. You know what? Hold on. We gotta do something here. Hold on. Pause this. All right, change models. I feel, even though it's my Outlast, the model I use for like Outlast and stuff, I feel like this is much more appropriate for this situation, you know? Sorry, I'm getting into it. I'm liking this. Hard to believe they were ever so busy that they had witnesses making IDs in the lobby. Then again, it's hard to believe they were ever doing lineups in the first place. Are you certain? Wasn't it dark? Did you know that during traumatic events, memory formation is blah, blah, blah? Poking holes in that setup must have been like shooting a fish in a barrel, and all during billable hours. But there's no room to sow doubt anymore, not when a modded witness can just submit their testimony as a video recording, assuming their phone didn't automatically file a police report for them. What a world, eh? So X plus plus... Hold on, I want to look at around before I, hold on. Terms. Holograms. Enabled by specialized projectors or mediums like conductive resin. Holograms are graphic displays that appear three-dimensional to the human eye when viewed from any part of a face range of at least 180 degrees. An effect known as the Watterson illusion phenomenon. Oh, good, the Gumball family got in on this. Sorry. Alright, if that's too above your pay grade, that joke. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm actually really sorry. I've never actually seen Gumball except for clips, so I really can't talk. I'm so sorry. I feel bad. Anyway, I am getting into this though, but originally patented in late 2059, so we're getting a timeline, Watterson's phenomenon was initially used exclusively in the adult entertainment industry. Holograms did not become widely adopted as an advertising tool until the much-maligned Holoday season, I get it, of 2061, after which laws restricting the presence of holograms in public spaces were passed with uncharacteristically universal support. We're sorry to see you've installed a subroutine on this device to disable and highlight... Oh, I wasn't done reading. Recommended premium external links. Miniature driver personalization, but unauthorized tech impacts our ability to serve you best. The best, most blah, blah, blah. Consider disabling your subroutine so we can... Fascinating. Alright, return. Oh, we got a phone here. I want to just leave. How do I leave? Okay, right-click. I think the only thing... Okay, I can click my mouse. Right-click to get out of it. This is really cool. Really well done. Read. A data pad. I'll bite. Even when they're more advertisement than article, they can still be informative. In a flowery, roundabout, corporate propaganda sort of way. Keep an eye out for articles in the environment. They offer insight on the world around you and credit towards your investigation. Choose the proper takeaway after reading, and you'll earn additional bonus credit, too. Uh-oh, you gotta read, guys. Gotta read. Ooh, hold on, there's nothing. Okay, it hit the load. Subway fixes axed. Subway fixes axed? City to refocus on canopy. Declaring the subway tunnels to be irreparably flooded, city engineers announced this week that all plans to drain and repair the system were being suspended indefinitely. Saltwater damage to sensitive electronic cabling and erosion of key tunnel fixtures were cited as reasons why 89% of the subway system was evaluated as critically compromised or worse. Civil engineering efforts will be refocused on maintenance and expansion of the hybrid super infrastructure system that weaves together trams, highways, walkways, and skyscrapers into the canopy, high above our city streets. Reactions to the announcement could be characterized as blasé. It's been years since the subways last ran, and decades since they last ran on schedule. Most citizens have long since given up hope of them ever making a comeback. That's sad. Online chatter barely reacted to the announcement, with most commenters and voters' attention focused instead on the growing investigations into Councilman Long's campaign finance irregularities. One of the Canopy's major backers in City Hall, Long has often found himself at odds with a small but vocal group of critics that consider it to be an eyesore and an amplifier of light and noise pollution. And with Long having stepped away from his political duties in order to more fully cooperate with investigators, for the first time in nearly 20 years, the typical rock-steady political foundation of the Canopy was looking uncharacteristically shaky going into this week. But with the subways now officially no longer an option, people and corporations alike have little choice for how they complete their morning commute. However, not all reactions to the news have been negative. At least a few bold individuals see this latest report as vindication and possibly even a rallying cry. Already considered by many to be a rising star in infrastructure solutions abroad, tech startup Subterra made headlines last year with their radical proposal for a system of personal submarine taxi pods that could make use of the flooded subway tunnels, but momentum stalled when their first prototype for the city came in at a disappointing 3,359% over budget. Though one council member was quoted as calling the system mind-bogglingly wasteful and impractical to the extreme. In light of this latest announcement, Subterra has proudly declared their intent to resubmit their proposal package. Access to the entire globe, coastal cities like ours, across the entire globe, coastal cities like ours have struggled to find civil engineering answers to rising sea levels and subterranean flooding that satisfy financial, practical, and aesthetical concerns. Historically, most scientists have attributed this increase in sea level to climate change, though there are dissenting voices. Why it rises and falls all the time for reasons we do not understand, do not fully understand, but we are rich. It appears that you have 0 free information remaining for this month. Free articles remaining this month. Please verify your account information in order to continue reading the stories that matter. Alright, can I click the Subterra? No? No, it's just underlined for reasons? Now what? Ballsy of them, putting the paywall there. As if I'd reached for my wallet after having read a word like aesthetical. Besides, I got the gist of it. The takeaway is that the city will be focusing its efforts on the Canopy. There'll be increased scrutiny surrounding the Canopy now that there's no plan B. It's a massive project with a massive budget. Lines the pockets of a lot of people, big and small. None of them would appreciate bad press at the moment, not when Councilman Long's already thoroughly chummed the waters. Alright, I believe there was... I did this, there's that. Is that it? Examine. The medium's cracked in the corner. Looks bad, but my phone's made of the same stuff, and I'm rolling the dice every time it falls off the sofa. You probably know the warranty on one of these things with a loud sneeze. At least it's not broken. Entirely. Even at this hour, it's still dutifully scrolling through its notifications. Looks like the usual 1-to-1 ratio of public health alerts and inoffensive pop culture trivia. You always get served at Staples. Let's see here. String not found. This desk is programmed for check-in and information only. If you are experiencing an emergency, please use our universal contact number at string not found. But there's a few missing persons too. 1 year of Silver Plan coverage courtesy of Caduceus as a reward for any... Silver's no joke. Family must be getting desperate. Alright. I've taken in all the scenery and learned as much here as I can here. Time to get checked in. It booted up fine. So far, so good. Good morning. Morgan. Here for the public defender contract. Could you please provide your name and... Great! Please stand still for a moment. I wouldn't call Intake Hollows charming, more like harmless. But that's probably what the designers were aiming for. People don't mind a quirk or two in their tech so long as it never speaks out of turn. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble placing you. Could you please provide your name and date of birth? So far, so good, was it? Ugh. Ooh, an interesting choice. I don't know. Here, I've got a card. Say, why don't you just scan my ID card? Great! Now, could you just confirm your date of birth for me? Why do they even bother asking? My birthday's on the damn ID card and my profile. I have to be a world-class airhead to get this question wrong. Hold on. Terms. Data pads. The portable, lightweight electronic device known as data pads. Oh my gosh. So much lore. Data. Hold on. I wanted to find the profile. Profile. Morgan. No. Profile. Morgan. Date of birth. December 26th. Criminal defense attorney. Puzzles, smoking, wooden furniture are her likes. Commercials, hairdressers, and logging are her dislikes. Can fall asleep at any position. Her coffee, she takes her coffee decaf, and her drink whiskey sour. No problem. My birthday's December 26th. Perfect! Good morning, Morgan, counselor. Thank you for your timely arrival and for taking this public defender contract. If you're ready to speak to your client, you can proceed to counseling quarter 3C. Is that what we're calling it now? You mean the interrogation room? I'm sorry to have caused any confusion. My vocabulary is regularly updated to better reflect state standards. Ugh, don't sweat it. I can't keep track of every new euphemism either. They could call it the involuntary wellness check room if they like. As to change the way it makes a person feel, sitting in a stifled box of one-way panels. Nothing to see but their own reflection, dully warped across gunmetal walls. Morgan, counselor, can I help you with anything else? Because of what you read earlier, you've unlocked an additional question. Read and examine at every opportunity to build up your knowledge and get most of your questioning. Why the disrepair? I know the city's not terribly concerned with the lower warrants, but this is the police station. Why is it so goddamn dusty? This facility is currently undergoing renovations. Since when? The 60s? It has been 22 months since the timetable was last updated. They really don't see a lot of action around here, do they? I'm sorry for any inconvenience you might have encountered. I'm adaptable. What about you? They ever gonna fix that crack? Thank you for asking. It has not interfered with my work. Well, that's all that matters, right? What are you? I'm a smart user interface, proudly sold by Noble Electronics. Thank you for asking. If you're interested, I could send you a link with information about our subscription packages. Should I send you a link with information about our subscription packages? No. Sorry. That was a mean question to ask. Huh? That'll be all. Thank you. You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office through the door to your right. Thanks. But I think it's just me for now, so you could go on break if you like. Automated dependents do not take breaks, Morgan Counselor. Then what were you doing before I walked in? You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office. Through the door to the right, thank you. Ads don't get breaks. Ads don't get breaks, and they don't get my jokes. But it's usually the humorless types that are the most fun to mess with anyway. Eyes good, bed is a voice. No, voice is coming from down the hall. Compared to you, probably. Thank God I stopped for directions. A building this empty, and the desk could have just told me to follow the echoes. One voice sounds older, rougher, and decidedly low energy. Appreciate you worrying about me. God forbid I try to be serious. While the other rings with youthful indignation. It's not like our job is important or anything. Definitely cops. And at this precinct, at this hour, they might be the only two living, breathing people in the whole complex. Because why else would you bother to print all that out? One document of 100 looks the same on a data pad. Anytime you question a suspect, you need to have a heavy file in hand. Makes them think you know them better than their priest, their mother, their big brother. I wasn't gonna say that. So how many of those sheets were blank then? No red carpet tonight, officers? Good cop? Ah, that's not a thing. Oh, sorry about that, ma'am. We don't keep many extra hands around at these hours. I can't tell who's talking. Probably faster to let the desk handle and take anyway. But mostly cheaper. Alright. Lady Bad Cop. Good question mark. Cop over there. You the lawyer? I am. Morgan Esquire. Pleased to meet you. Okay, I can kind of tell. If I think, his name, good question mark cop, is the same as his outlaw. It's not quite the same green, but give me a counselor. Jassim London. We gotta look at that. Oh, is that his name? London. Jassim London. May the 5th. Homicide detective. First class. Both I like photographies. I also like photographies. Dive bars. And bangs. Like hair? Ties, pollen, after hours work messages, podcasts, pencil sketching, running late. What a character. And the ball of sunshine here is my partner, Farrah Rays. Let's look at that. October 18th. Homicide detective, 3rd class. Rice, limes, automotive history. Liars, small plates, cheap people. Watching product reviews. Game of chance. Right eye OS Iris Elite 80. Oh, interesting. Ball of sunshine? She certainly is. Sorry if you were kept waiting. Sorry if you were kept waiting. Chatter between the departments has been hectic all night. It's no trouble. Gave me time to enjoy my cigarette. Cigarette? Like tobacco? What are you, 80? You can't be more than a few years younger than me. We're the detectives in charge of this particular case, and it looks like tonight we're also your humble guides to the illustrious homicide department. Apologies in advance for my cobwebs, for any cobwebs I can read. Pretty sure I've seen this London character around the courthouses before. He never struck me as more than just some old-timer. He doesn't look like an old-timer. But I suppose being an old-timer is an accomplishment in and of itself in his profession. Sunshine is definitely a new face, though. Rigid in her posture and her attitude. 3 in the morning and her shirt still looks ironed. Freshly promoted, maybe? 2 whole detectives working at these hours. Sounds serious. Unless you were just the first to arrive on the scene. No, we're not nearly that timely. Uniforms responded to the emergency calls with a few minutes. Calls, plural. Must have been quite the commotion. Look around. You think we're the first to arrive for anything? She's not wrong. We were only tapped after circumstances at the scene indicated involvement with an ongoing investigation. Our ongoing investigation. Not very subtle, is she? But I may as well bite at this point. So you suspect that this client of mine is involved in some separate criminal activity? What? Did they really not? No, I guess they wouldn't put it in a public defender's briefing. Look, consider this a little professional courtesy, a fair warning, yeah? That's the heartbreak killer in that room. Nani? And we've got the bastard dead to rights. So if you're kind, you'll help him plead it out. And if you're smart, you'll pass this shitstorm onto some other night owl and go back to bed. I'm not feeling particularly kind or smart at the moment. So perhaps in the meantime, you'd be so polite as to fill me in about this heartbreak killer. They cover utilities at the rock you live under. Is there a problem? You're seriously not familiar with HK? Never heard of him. I've heard enough of him for a lifetime. That name has been plastered all over the city for weeks. Their crimes wavering between breaking news and urban legend. Their presumed goals flip-flopping from unadulterated anarchy to unappreciated vigilantism. At street corners, in the media, on the net, everyone's indulging in the exact kind of armchair detective speculation that I can't stand. But right now, I need to figure out exactly how much the police do or don't know. And when it comes to cops, I always get better results playing dumb than I do acting smart. I take it he's a repeat offender? Was it the killer pot that tipped you off? You must have at least heard about his MO. Media's gone crazy with it. Along with everyone else. One bullet straight through the heart, body left to lie where it falls. Hence the name Heartbreak. Not exactly creative, but amidst the swirl of every other 100-word article out there, catchiness trumps originality. What you won't read about online is that all 6 of HK's victims were shot by the same gun, without even needing to reload. Horrible to say, I know, but 6 for 6? That's pretty good shooting, isn't it? Hitting the bullseye of the shooting range is good shooting. Doing it 6 times in a row is great. But shooting 6 people with accuracy like that? It's a whole different beast. Takes a certain kind of monster. A real freak. His pulse probably didn't even rise. I see. Sounds robotic. You almost make him sound like a machine. Is it possible that... No, it is not. There's no such thing as killer robots, madam. Of course, my mistake. So, all these androids marching in the military, those robots patrolling in police uniforms, those drones dropping firebombs from the sky. I guess they're all firing blanks. Fair enough. Machines can kill, and they have been for decades. But they don't commit murder. Right. Evil like heartbreak is all organic. That's a pretty terrifying thought. I should really start paying more attention to the news. How I managed to miss 6 murders. Oh me, oh my. Well, you can only blame yourself for missing 5. Pardon? You're still not getting it? You're still not getting it? HK's 6th victim was found a few hours ago, when we caught the son of a bitch red-handed. So you're convinced that my client is this heartbreak killer and tonight was just his latest crime? That's a serious accusation with very serious consequences. I take it you have serious evidence to back that up? I was being literal, counselor. Huh? Red-handed. When we found your client, he was covered in her blood. Well, that's not good, is it? What you say certainly sounds compelling. Is that lawyer talk full open and shut? But even if that's the case, how does one crime scene make him look good for 6 murders? It's all there in the discovery files and the ARCs, of course. We better check terms. ARCs. Augmented reality crime scene, abbreviated as ARCs, is an incredible tool which advantage harvest senses more than the first responders. I got the idea. Lambda! Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Profiles? Heartbreak. Unknown, criminal killing, getting on, probably read prominent into astrology. With the ARCs, of course. Join the local net on your phone and we'll turn over everything you need, I'll bet. Thanks for that, detective. I'll be sure to read it over. If it's all the same, can I ask you some questions while I've got you here? The hell kind of attorney wants to interrogate the detectives? This kind of attorney? You're just that pleasant. Come on, sunshine. Not like we're gonna be punching out anytime soon, right? Whatever. Let your clients stew in interrogation all night for all I care. You mean the counseling quarters? We're at your disposal, counselor. Fascinating. Alrighty, what do we got? Let's look around before I talk to them. Inspect. Anything over here? Anything over here? No. Observe. Alright, let's start with read. Latest noble androids received warm welcome, boasted by a strong earnings report and surging sales of the Arma 16. Many investors. Some critics voice concerns alienating its customers. However, as in the case of the last decade, no star has proven wrong. Anime has points to break profitability records. Gross. Excuse me. No signs of slowing down in many industry analysts. The work of the Noble Industry Weekend. He's in the news again. No wonder. Can't spit without it landing on a piece of noble tech these days, especially not where the state's involved. They don't feel bite when it comes to warm androids, though. For government use, they're just... Uh-oh. Warm androids. Impractical due to the price. It's too expensive to justify. Wait, what am I thinking? No state's ever had a problem spending money on overpriced crap. Oh, I misunderstood. I didn't read it. I screwed up. Everything is bad. I ruined it all. I'm a failure. Inspect. He shouldn't have cleaned up so much for just little old me, Detective London. Someone really needs to introduce this guy to a filing system. Or even a stapler. Paper documents scattered about lazily alongside actual photographs say that he's really old-fashioned or really paranoid about data leaks. And he doesn't look like the paranoid type. Yeah, orderliness aside, some things are better in paper, I'll give him that. Barren, stark, and uninviting. Keep your workstation neat and tidy as Admiral, but I can't spot a single mote of personalization. Is she so new she hasn't had time to unpack, or is she really that uptight and boring? What? Both, maybe. Is that everything besides observe? Loose wires, missing panels, an aircon system that probably sweats more than the people it's supposed to cool. No room in the budget for making the office not look like shit, huh? I expected to find a lot of belt tightening in Homicide, but I didn't think their operation would be this bare bones. They've got a stunning clearance rate and they work fast. Guess the city sees that and just assumes their job is easy. Maybe their job is easy, what with our dear, doting surveillance state eliminating so much of the footwork. But if your wheels don't squeak, you don't get your palms greased. So Homicide ends up as the only state department with a shrinking budget. A dumping grounds for the police force's most ambitious and least popular. Okay, nothing else jumps out to me around here. I've got a better idea of who I'm dealing with at least. Now I need to check out the crime scene data. I should have been sent a link. You've been granted access to the files. Reply C to confirm. Confirm. You need to reply C in order to confirm. Am I talking to a person? I am an automated dependent, and are usually more polite. Our personalities are tailored to suit our users' preferences, so the state likes you to be a little authoritarian. You need to reply C. See? It's case sensitive. Oh my god. Thank you. Link. Alright, if I project from my phone. ARC's user portal. This is anything. ARC user portal downloading. Initializing. Whoa. Augmented reality crime scene. Holy guacamole. Oh, I think a sneeze coming on. Alright, let's see what the police have. What they think. Well, let's see what the police have and what they think is important. What else do we have? Examine. A stand-up mirror shattered and knocked over. Real glass, no screens or cameras around here. It was hit hard. Hard enough to come unattached from its arm, while shards of glass were scattered. Far enough to land on the victim's body. What a mess. Fascinating. Seems like this vase, or this vase, got tossed aside at some point. And yet there's not a scratch on it. Must be pretty damn durable. Isn't art supposed to be delicate? Maybe it's making a statement. The murder weapon, a revolver, found right next to the body. 6 empty casings found in each of the 6 chambers, meaning the guns had fired 6 times. Looks like the crime scene techs practically disassembled the damn thing. But all they found were fingerprints belonging to my client. So he was found by the police with the murder weapon right in front of the body. I don't even know where to start. Highly prejudicial would be an understatement. Anything else before I hit the body? I don't think so. The victim's body. Cause of death, ballistic trauma, class 4 blood loss, atrium and aorta. Single gunshot wound to the heart, and brief, death was instantaneous. No injuries anywhere else, and no blood or skin under her nails. Blood spatter, forensics, and all that other good stuff tells them that she was shot from there. So the killer was standing in the doorway when they fired. That's all the big ticket items. What about the security? Looks like the apartment was unlocked all night. It's not uncommon for people their age in a neighborhood like this, but no signs of forced entry only hurts my client's case. What about the rest of the room? There's not much else flagged here. Just a lounge chair that got thrown and whatever that is. Unidentified ceramic debris? Flag is irrelevant? That's their technical assessment? Guess even the crime scene techs weren't sure what to make of it. Okay. That's everything that the police highlighted. But did I miss anything? Let's not wrap it up. Let me look around. Hold on, what? The hell is that? Something in the victim's hand? How the hell did... It's just a pill organizer. Looks like some immune adjusters, NSAIDs, and triprexisone, a synthetic glucocorticoid medication. Taken daily to reduce rejection symptoms like phantom pain and generalized itch. The autopsy said her talk screen was clear, but it's not like it matters. She could have swallowed every medicine cabinet in the city and still wouldn't change the cause of death. It's odd. and ultimately irrelevant. Everything else here is all very incriminating. But the kicker's everything that's not here. No out-of-place DNA, footprints, crumbs. Nothing that points towards anyone except my client. Well, I've done more with less before, but not much more. I'm really gonna have to sing for my supper this time. Better get started. Who the hell's messaging me at this time of night? First person who comes to mind is, I suppose it could be something important. Red! Partly texting with Brad! What couldn't wait till morning? Good news, of course. Got a job for you. That's a pretty cheery way to tell me you violated parole. Well, not that kind of job. Besides, I've been covering my tracks. This is something different. Anything I can't handle, which is a keyboard and a phishing scheme. I need you to sue my gym teacher. Not that kind of lawyer, sorry. Hey, at least let me finish. What did they do? Make me run laps. Not illegal. Let me finish. They made me run laps, even though I said I had a stomachache. Said. Gotta be like youth endangerment. Depraved indifference or some kind of shit. Sounds like you've already got a strong case. Try self-representing this time. What's with the blow-off? Nice phrasing. Oh wow, I'm laughing so hard right now. See? Is that your mugshot? I wasn't gonna not get a copy of my mugshot and use it as a reaction. Glad you found a use case. But I'm working right now, so anything cool? Homicide. Oh, cringe. Wait, what kind of homicide? Jeez. Is it HBK? Is that the kind of morbid thing your kids your age? Oh, heartbeat killer. Teens my age. And yeah, we can read. Compared to the corrupt shit in the headlines, old-fashioned murder is like Hottie B is like quaint. It's not heartbreak. Then why do you take the job, lol? You see the 98% conviction rate as a challenge or something? You taking up lost cob, probe nose work? It's pro bono. That was autocorrect. You know they give lit homework for a reason, right? This is borderline concerned nagging. Maybe you really are a bleeding heart. Or just a sucker. I'm not a sucker. Nice phrasing, lol. You should go to bed, Fran. Tomorrow's Sunday. I can stay up if I want. Tomorrow is Sunday. Because today is Saturday. What's with the Carpe Diem shit? It's nearly 4 a.m., kid. You've got school in like 3 hours. Uh-oh. Shit. Repeat offenders may be good for business, but that kid's bad for my blood pressure. Important text message, I take it. Just your typical teenage drama. So then, if you wouldn't mind filling me in on a few details. Androids and cops! By the way, I couldn't help but notice that you're light on staff. It's 3 in the morning. Were you expecting a parade? I thought there'd at least be a few androids around. Not many androids in any police station this week, not while the brass is renegotiating contracts. Contracts with Noble? Good guess. Hardly. They're the biggest. Hardly. They're the biggest robotics corp there is. Could spend all day in Center City without leaving their office's shadow. Yes, we're very fortunate to have them headquartered here. Saves us some money on shipping, at least. But these talks never last that long. I'm sure they'll be back to writing checks to Noble ads by the end of the month. Even with Noble pushing those warm androids. Warm, yeah. Might as well call it the adult line. Might see him in the bigger departments around our patrol, but not around these offices. Warm or cold, there's no such thing as an android detective yet. Yet? Really? You really think that'll happen? We already use ads for patrolling, securing the scene, pacifying crowds. Doesn't seem like a big stretch to me. Joking, right? Android detectives. With all the pain we go through getting witnesses to talk to us? With your warm personality? What did I just say? With your warm personality? I can't imagine. A cop knocks on your door and starts asking questions. You're going to be put in a bad mood. An ad knocks on your door, calls you a degenerate criminal in a synthesized voice loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. You're going to start posting shit that'll get you put on a list. Well, we certainly don't want that. But flesh and blood witnesses are becoming less and less common anyways. Cameras, sensors, satellites, we already get all our facts from machines. Give it a few more years. It might make sense to let machines do the investigating too. The union would... The police union wouldn't let that happen. She needn't have specified. It's the only real union there is anymore. Hot break. Checking my phone here, and I have to say, you've done a pretty admirable job. You've done a pretty admirable job keeping the details of HK's crimes a secret. The less reputable sites are doing some real journalistic acrobatics trying to piece together a story. Yeah, top 11 theories on who hurt HK was a real weighty read. It's not just journalists, although all kinds have been, emboldened. The freaks that HK's managed to bring out of the woodwork in just a few weeks. Can you blame them, though? I mean, he's a genuine serial killer. Repeat offenders in general are an endangered species, but he's gotten away with. We know what he's gotten away with. Take a look around us, detective. National DNA registries robust enough that cases never go cold. Cameras on every street, a phone on every citizen, violent crime at an all-time low, and clearance rates at an all-time highs. But you're gonna spout some alt-Paul bullshit about invasion of privacy? No, I'm not. People are safer now than at any other time in history, detectives. So when someone like Heartbreak does come along... Good point. London's trying to look like he can laugh it off, but pressure from the higher-ups must be reaching its peak. They want, maybe need, to see someone charged, and that makes them predictable. Whoa. Yeah, well, even if there's nothing standard about HK, Department SOP still dictates we starve the media for case details. That way, when we do feed them, they're grateful for whatever scraps they get. But we can't take all the credit this time around. Homicide's tight-knit and tight-lipped, but it's not like there's much information for us to leak in the first place. Why is that? Because none of the shootings were caught on the opt-in crime surveillance system. How is that even possible? I know that there are some rough areas in the lower wards, but Optics is watching every other street in the entire city. You're saying you haven't seen this killer on camera once? You think we'd have let him kill 6 people if we did? I understand your concern, ma'am, but Optics is only what it says in the name. Private surveillance system signing up to feed into the state security network. It's not perfect, just another one of the many public safety tools in our belt. It's not meant to be perfect, it's meant to help us solve crimes. Or at least act as a deterrent. One would hope so. Fat chance. Deterrents are for war rooms and board meetings. Anyone crazy or desperate enough to commit a crime in a city like this couldn't care less about anything as vague as the consequences of their actions. It's like a safety blanket, one with very few holes left in it. But it does have holes. Patching up those remaining holes takes effort, and that effort usually means rebooting the system. There's all kinds of technical details and digital bureaucracy involved. But the end result is that there are occasional localized blackouts, and the math used to schedule them is not impossible to predict. I see. But those windows of opportunity are small and short. Taking advantage of them requires specific knowledge. You'd need to be involved in law enforcement, pub data, or city planning. Alright, so one of them is the killer, right? They'd have mentioned it if my client was a cop, and he wouldn't have needed a public defender either. His file says he's modded for heavy mass manipulation, not tech interfacing, so that just leaves city planning. So he does work. So does he work for So does he work construction for the city? HK has only ever struck at times and locations where Optics would be down, even with the devil's own luck. Title drop. Or not really, but close. It can't possibly be coincidence. Wait, so you're saying when this woman was killed, yeah, there was a blackout from around 8 to 9 tonight. Right on schedule, so to speak. And it included the area surrounding the victim's apartment. Well, what about DNA from the other crime scenes? Was my client a match? There's been no blood, no saliva, no suspect DNA at any of the crime scenes. No footage and no forensics. Also no motives, tampering, or witnesses. It's been like hunting a damn ghost. We didn't even have a murder weapon. Until now. Finally! A lucky break for the boys in blue. Scanners, cams, drones, forensic, no matter how you dress it up with tech, all detective work relies on one basic assumption. People make mistakes. But HK is the kind of monster who doesn't make mistakes. Only reason we caught him tonight was because he finished what he had set out to do all along. So was my client on the list of suspects before tonight? Weren't you listening? There was no list of suspects. We questioned some X's, a few CIs, someone even spoke to one or two unlisted at some point. Nothing came of it. There was talk about starting on some kind of psych eval or something, but I never expected much to come of that. There's just not enough there to work with. In other words, the only thing they have, the only thing they could have to link my client to those killings is the murder weapon. If I can jostle that keystone, then the rest of their case should start to come loose as well. Alright, I need to just get something to drink, because there's a lot of talking in this one, so give me a minute, I'll be right back. Alright, I have myself some hot chocolate, and we're back. Give me the details, would you? So how about the basics? I've got an accent now, I apologize. What exactly has my client been charged with? Your client, Carlos Baca Flat, was arrested on the scene at 9:50. Profiles Flat. Alright. Wait a minute. Hold on, where's... Okay, so Heartbreak does have a separate one, okay. Was arrested on the scene at 9:50 p.m. Doing his middle name already, they really do think he's a serial killer. The charge being first-degree murder of his girlfriend, a Miss Dying Dawn. Dying Dawn, that's a funny name. First degree, that's increasingly rare, to say the least. It's rare for us to get handed anything but crimes of passion around here. He's got damn near more cameras than people. So you gotta be really, really, really stupid to try and get away with murder. Well, Heartbreak's gotten away with it 6 times, so what's that make him? 5 times, and that's what makes him insane. I was gonna say extraordinary. Oops, whoops. Is there a log? Is there a log? There's not a log. But Nutjob, wait, there might be a log, actually. Log. But Nutjob's like, blah, 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 blah. Let's split the difference and say he's extraordinarily insane. But Nutjobs like that aren't renowned for their ability to think ahead. So what makes you think this was premeditated? How about the fact that he stalked to kill 5 other women as a warm-up? A warm-up? 5 previous bullets, 5 previous victims. None of them knew each other, lived near each other, worked in the same fields. Weeks of digital autopsies crawling up and down their online profiles. Nothing. So the serial killer chose his victims at random? If they have nothing in common, yeah, nothing in common at all. Other than that they all look like cousins. The physical similarities are striking. That's a pretty big thing to leave out. All 5 prior victims were young women with brown hair and brown eyes, about the same height, comparable weight. Those features aren't exactly uncommon. Couldn't it be a coincidence? If you really believe that, you should quit your job and start buying lotto tickets. HK's got himself a type. Almost anyone can see that. Rather, anyone can see that. The word almost invented itself in my mind and added itself to the sentence. I apologize. You really gonna try and tell me you don't see the resemblance? A young woman, brown hair, brown eyes. Can't tell how tall she is from a portrait, but I could take the hint. So you think what exactly? That Carlos Flat wanted to kill his girlfriend so badly he went out and shot 5 other women first? Hey, if the shoe fits. If the shoe fits, then you put the shoe on the... What Sunshine means is that it's not uncommon for killers to displace their violence from people close to them onto outlets with fewer consequences. Drifters, loners, strangers, wakers. He was probably building up the nerve for tonight by first practicing on these other similar women. Or he's just so far gone he can't tell the difference no more. It's not the worst theory in the world, but it doesn't fit. They want to claim that those previous victims were practice runs, dress rehearsals for tonight's main event. But if that were the case, there'd have been signs of hesitation, nerves. There'd have been mistakes. On top of which, guns are impersonal, execution shots even more so. There's no sadism or hatred or intimacy in a single bullet to the heart. Killing your girlfriend or lookalikes usually is, if nothing else, a lot less sterile. If you ask me. Ooh, the thick plottins. Give me that timeline. I saw the time of death was 9 p.m. on the autopsy, but you have a timeline for the rest of that night's events. Can't trust much of what comes out of his mouth, but we've managed, thanks to less biased sources. And we're pretty confident about what you've been able to piece together from the statements. I have this voice now. So the interviewed witnesses? Sounds eerily similar to real police work. The suspect and his girlfriend were arguing Whoa! That eye just opens. I thought you had an eye patch. Up there. We're arguing loudly with one another, starting around 8 p.m. Neighbors were very clear about that pot. couldn't wait to tell us about the happy couple's domestic problems. Everyone in the building knew they'd been fighting for weeks. As you probably gathered from what you saw in the Ox, it was a struggle. Furniture turned over. Glass shattered, but things got so quiet. But things were quiet some time before 9 p.m. And then there's a gunshot. Scrubbers are still scrubbing, looking for audio from the area to get a timestamp, but we heard from enough concerned citizens to be pretty damn sure about the time. Right, emergency services got a voice the calls from the block shortly after 9 p.m. No one seemed to recognize the sound for what it was, but the silence that followed was pretty universally alarming. Officers arrive on the street at 9:08 p.m., establish a perimeter, enter through the open front door at 9:10 p.m., and they find your client crouched over his dead girlfriend, his hand covered in her blood. At which point they move to secure the scene and the suspect. Sorry, did you say his hand, singular? Your client's modded, cybernetic right arm. How modded are we talking about here? Registered with a HAL 85 habilis, industrial grade, it looks like. Says he's spec'd for dexterous manipulation of up to class 4 KPA, which means a minimum grip strength of, well, basically, whoops, go back. Well, basically, he could crush your neck without even gritting his teeth. Oh. Considering a career change? No, it's not that. It's just, your eye must be very sensitive for you to put the patch back on each time. And here I thought you just had a 14-year-old sense of fashion. You think a cop would cover up her dominant eye if it was fashion, because it was fashionable? I actually thought the same thing the first time we met. What? But getting back on track, Denham has been in the shop for some time now. He can't work without it. Money got tight. Be arguing? Yeah. When did he put his arm in for repairs? 8 days before HK's first victim was killed. Well, no chance they'd be willing to chalk that up to a coincidence. Your client was arrested on the scene after a preliminary scan found his fingerprints on the revolver, and no one else's. A revolver? What kind? The old kind. The real old kind. More specifically, a Calva M54, 6-chambered 10mm. Calva? Oh, how retro. You don't know the half of it. We're talking steel chamber, real gunpowder, mechanical firing pin, and no tags. No tags? How is that? Just how old are we talking here? Yeah, 24/7 location data, timestamp, trigger pull, safeties coded to owner biometrics. For the past 3 decades, tags have made shooting crimes very unambiguous. So you're claiming my client used some kind of antique to commit these crimes? How else do you think he'd have gotten away with this 5 other times? If he tried to buy a gun legit, he'd probably fail the very first psych check. And even jailbroken pieces are only good for so long before update withdrawal sets in. So then, M54, that's model year 2054. A 30-year-old gun? Well, that sure complicates things, doesn't it? In some ways, sure. But pre-tagging firearms are rare. Gotta be less than 1,000 of them left in the whole country, and fewer still compatible bullets. The ammunition would have to be over 30 years old, too. It's the novelty of his weapon that's kept us in the dark so far. But now that we have our hands on it, it's gonna put him away. For good. What? Archive departments complained loud as hell about how deep they had to dig. But with protocols they found, the techs were able to match the rifling marks on all 6 bullets to the gun that your client was found with. Rifling marks? Bullets fired from guns that old are marked by the barrel's shape. So if all 6 bullets had the same rifling marks, we know that they were all fired by the same gun. It's not as plug-and-play as tags are, but it's equally precise science, I assure you. And if that is not damning enough, the spent casings from the other 5 shootings were still in the chamber, without even needing to reload. The Calva your client was found with is the gun HK used to kill 6 women. No way to lawyer around that. An untagged gun. Just being anywhere near a weapon like that could warrant your arrest. Being found by the police over a dead body with an untagged gun used at 5 other crime scenes is just... To summarize, then, you believe my client fought verbally, then physically with his girlfriend, and then he retrieved this weapon and shot her? Yeah, pretty much. How did he look when the officers found him? Guilty. How was his affect? Quiet, detached, stiff. Not exactly the picture of a grieving partner. That reaction may have lost him points with the cops, but beyond that, people react to loss in all kinds of unusual ways. And so long as the police are suspicious of you, there's no right way to grieve. Thanks for the chat, detectives. I think I understand the background well enough now. Candidly, I see the same strokes you do, and the picture it paints isn't pleasant. But even so, it seems a bit unrefined to be brought before a judge, don't you think? Hey, it's only our job to catch the bastard. The DA is the one who gets the conviction. Besides, we're not exactly going to have to work hard to convince anyone of his guilt. And why is that? Because we found a handwritten confession at his desk. Well. Yeah, well. That's, unexpected. I'm sorry, you're now telling me that he wrote a confession? Has it been verified? Not yet. We have to muscle past everyone in fraud and disinfo to get to the front of that line. Why bother? The note's covered in his fingerprints. There's a copy in the discovery data, but I should warn you, it doesn't exactly make for light reading. I'll have to manage somehow. I need to see this confession for myself. Let's see what we got. Sorry for everything. Can't say it enough. Didn't mean to hurt you or do what I did. Did not want any of it to happen. Can't stay in control when I get mad. When I'm not in control, I hurt people without meaning to. Wish I hadn't broken them. Didn't mean to do it first, but I was hurting. Wanted you to hurt too, but didn't want to hurt you. Words aren't enough. I know that now. I'll take responsibility and do what I've been avoiding. Please forgive me. Well, what if the girlfriend, the victim, was the one who wrote this? Huh? What about that? That was difficult to read. Barely legible, in fact. Well, got a spin on that? No need. But it's a confession. Not a confession that he signed, though, is it? Not yet, and not one he intends to sign anytime soon, considering that he asked for representation. Yeah, the most wanted man in the city asked for a lawyer and got you. Guess you both lucky. Hardly. I just happened to be awake when the call went out. But I'm not so flush with work that I can afford to turn tail now. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go and speak with my client. What? He's not still handcuffed in there, is he? Look, counselor, with all due respect, we have strong evidence pointing to this man being responsible for 6 murders. 2 hours or so in cuffs isn't cruel or unusual. And that's for your safety as well. It's kind of you to worry, but I doubt I'll be in any danger. He's killed 6 women. None of them were redheads. Seriously, though, I'd like to speak with him alone now. Camera's off, if you don't mind. Mike's on or off is your call, counselor. But we'll be watching the feed from right outside in case anything happens. And the cuff, that is, that stays on. That worried about me? How chivalrous. Yeah, my arm is practically blinding. Gross. I'll start up the unlock cycle. Counselor, just one word of advice. If you have any interest in his well-being, I'd suggest you help him sign him that confession. Not a bad idea. I do get paid either way. But the defense part of defense attorney isn't just for show, detective. I mean it. 6 people dead is one thing, but he's also caused weeks of widespread terror and public unrest. Putting it another way, he's made the state look bad. That's a capital crime if there ever was one. And even if the death penalty's not actually on the table these days, I can guarantee he's not going to like whatever rehabilitation plan they draw up for him. Look, I've seen the virtual work release program in person, and it's... Alright, that one scene sounds like we should check that out. Virtual work release. Hey there, due to ongoing controversy following the suspected suicide of inmate Che LA, search results for this term are temporarily blocked. Read more about the corporate... Alright, well, like, we can kind of infer anyway. But... being challenged before the Supreme Court. Yeah, sometime in the next decade, maybe. Just remember, a plea deal might feel like a loss for you, but if it keeps him from... well... that's probably a win for your client, right? Prison sentences are generally lighter for those who plead guilty. That much is true. Save the courts a great deal of time and money, and they show their gratitude with reduced sentencing. But no one will ever be grateful. No one will ever be grateful towards the Heartbreak Killer. Anyone convicted for killing 6 people, they'll never rest their mind another day in their life. 8:45 a.m. I'm just gonna take here a sip of my hot cocoa and see if it is not quite so hot no more, so I can sip at it. Soothing, but still a little too hot for me. DOO3 or EOOD. It's depressing as hell in here. They need to liven this place up. Carlos flat, right? Hope you don't mind if I get comfortable. We've got a lot to cover, but this shouldn't take all night. What are you... Look, I already told you people I'm not a cop, Carlos. Furthest thing from it. I'm a lawyer. Your lawyer, in fact. And I'm here to help you. Yeah, well, they said that too. All of them did. Back there, in here, kept repeating it the whole ride over. They said that they were going to help me, that they knew this was all a mistake. And they said that I killed, acting like they were on my side and they thought that I could have. It's not their job to help you, Carlos. But it is mine. And I'm here now. He's still in shock. I need more information, but if I approach this the wrong way, he'll just clam up even more. I'm sure you're exhausted. It's probably difficult to think, let alone speak, but I'd like you to try and answer a few questions. The police already questioned you, I'm sure. But they were treating you as a suspect, not as a client. Okay, so what do you want to know? Let's get to know you. Let's start simple. Something mundane, grounded, rote. I'd like to know a bit more about you first, Carlos. Something like, what line of work are you in? I'm with City Engineering. Or I was, or I should be. As I thought, the police must be convinced he mapped the optics blackouts using data he stole from work. My arm, I got it slotted for the job. And, Carlos, I'm gonna need more than that. So what do I know? He works in City Engineering, not a desk job. Ray said he was modded for work in that arm. Must be in custody at the moment. But based on his shoulder, it'd have to be pretty... I don't know. Utilitarian, right? Because... Utilitarian, yeah. He doesn't strike me as the type who's enamored with the aesthetics of modding. The young and the restless and the rich swapping in neon and chrome limbs because they like the way it looks. Or the way it makes other people start looking at them. No, he's pragmatic, grounded, and very unlucky. In which case, I should be too. You know, my brother wanted to mod. Really. Really. I don't even have a brother. He had everything planned out, a whole career path of promotions and bonuses and the upgrades they'd afford him. Then came his 18th birthday present, test results politely informing him that he's not a viable candidate. That sucks. I think he felt relieved, actually. Seemed like it was a weight off his chest. Like he was glad they didn't have to choose. Does that make any sense? Yeah, I think it does. I always figured if I'd start at all, I'd start small, a hand or an eye, test the water. Never thought about lobbing my whole damn arm off, but the recruiter was enthusiastic. He said, because of the NCDA, there was financial aid and resources. Of course, that got shit canned, so now me and every other modder is royally screwed. Couldn't even let me keep the tax credit. The new Citizens with Disabilities Act was amended, not repealed, but I doubt he'd appreciate the distinction at the moment. I work the tighter spaces, the high-volt environments, mostly canopy upkeep. Typical stuff of modders, you know? He's speaking freely now, don't need to do much more than repeat his words back to him to keep him talking. But the right word choice here can still make a difference. You work on the canopy, you must be under a lot of pressure. Must be under a lot of pressure now that the subways are cordoned off. Damn straight, and this crap was long. Once word got out that the case against him was real, every desk job in the chain became terrified of their own shadow. All of them convinced that Internal Affairs is going to come knocking if they misplace so much as a paperclip. Everything by the book means no room for compromise, no room for problem solving, no room for engineering. Yeah. And no patience for screw-ups. He's trying very hard not to look at his shoulder. Why aren't you wearing your prosthetic right now, Carlos? Yeah, that. Rejection issues starting last month. A lot of sleepless nights. Rejection? Did the therapy not take? It's not like that. I wasn't oozing puss out of my sockets or anything. Then, do these rejection issues have anything to do with your scars? Not in the way you're thinking. Oh? I'm right-handed. Oh. Yeah, that'd do it. So those cuts on his face are just from shaving? Never thought this would go on so long and have to relearn how to do everything. I mean, the problem started small, trembling, but then spasms. Just oversensitivity, they said. An easy fix. But the problem got bigger. Couldn't let it get that far. Need to be able to trust your own hands when you're on the job site. Drop a cutter at the wrong moment and people could get hurt. So I sat down, made an appointment, turned in my arm, and watched my case get placed at the back of the damn line. Where did you turn it in? Some mass turnaround chop shop with a waiting list like you wouldn't. It doesn't sound like you're a happy customer. Hell no! I found a dozen other clinics with shorter wait times, but as long as I'm renting and not owning. The manufacturer decides where your arm gets maintenance. Ugh. Evidence. A How industry. Mechanical limb. Oh god, 40 days. Coat was in the taking a lab, just blood of the victim autopsy report. Breathe. And that's why I'm sitting here with this expensive ass stump for a shoulder. I haven't been able to work in weeks. Bosses were generous enough to say my position might still be there when I've got 2 working arms again. You couldn't buy or rent a replacement yourself just in the meantime? I serve at the pleasure of the state. And they've got exclusivity contracts with Indy, all locked up white knuckle tight. Indy? How Industries? As I recall, he's registered with one of their Habilis models. If I took one step on site with uninsured tech, forget the fines, I'd lose the down payment and my arm. I'd never work in this city again. If this was last quarter, maybe I could have worked something out with management, but like I said, no one's sticking their neck out for anyone now that Long's in hot shit. You mentioned discomfort. Are you in pain? Pain will come and go. The itches that kill you. And the phantoms come back pretty fast when I don't have anything arm-shaped attached to me. Didn't they give you something to, well, wear in the meantime? Something the clinics lend out for cases like this? What they gave me is a deadweight, 3-jointed, landfill bait piece of shit. Sorry, it's just a very shitty feeling having a part of your body that you know they cut corners on. Oh, God. It fits. It's compatible. Technically, I can slot it in and feel on balance again. But the fingers don't even bend, and the quick twitch motors are way off. It's like walking around with your arm asleep or dead. So were you wearing it when you were arrested? Were you wearing it when you were arrested? No, I wasn't. But I'm pretty sure I saw the police bagging it as evidence, so he had gone too far. So Detective Reyes was being quite literal about how he was found. He had the victim's blood on his left arm only, because at the time in question, he didn't even have a right. No inconsistencies in the story so far, and he's opened up about as well as can be expected. But this all has just been a warm-up for the both of us. Now comes the delicate part. Carlos, you and the victim were romantically involved. How long did you two know each other? Right. I've known her since college. We shared a few classes, some mutual friends, always got along. Eventually, we just got together at some point. Guess I never actually asked her out the real formal way. Sounds pretty cowardly, saying that out loud. Diane, she was in genetics. Focused her studies on agriculture. It always takes them a few tries to get used to using past tense. Just finished her post-grad work this year. Got hired right out the gate. Practically headhunted. You believe that? Practically headhunted. Of course she was. Any company'd be lucky to have her, unlike... It was a real-ass job. Paid real-ass money, too. So her career was starting to pan out. Right as yours had fallen into the mother of all slumps. Where was she hired? Pedigree? No, Perigee Laboratories. I say that like the name matters. The whole setup's under Harco's umbrella. That doesn't narrow it down. The Harvest Corporation grows a third of the soybeans and corn in the entire country. One client that size, the lab wouldn't need any others. Now, no corporation earns the mega prefix without a little throat cutting, but Harco is about as unsexy as big business can get. Predictable like the seasons. No one's gonna buy that. No one's gonna buy that they had some lab tech murdered because of corporate greed. Had she adjusted well to her new job? Yeah, they loved having her there. She never mentioned arguments or disputes, corporate politics getting rough? I don't think so. Not like I've been a good listener lately. But I never got the impression that she... Look, no one I know could do this to her. There's nothing she could have done that would deserve what happened to her. It was a long shot, hoping for a disgruntled character from her past to shift blame onto. But with no other suspects, I can't just reshuffle the detective's suspicions. I'll have to disprove their argument entirely. Thank you, Carlos. That was very helpful. It was? Now I'd like you to try and tell me whatever you can about what happened tonight. Oh. Start at the beginning and take your time. The details are important. All right, Miss, Morgan. I'll try, Morgan. When you're ready. We were arguing. We had been arguing a lot lately. Arguing about stupid stuff. I have been working, have been making money, have been pulling my weight. I was mad at myself, but more than that, I was jealous of her. Jealous over nothing. Jealous over goddamn money. The reports say you were arguing around 8 p.m.? 8? Yeah, must have been when we started. We got into it, and I said a lot of things that I shouldn't have. I said one thing that I really, really shouldn't have. Crossed the line, and we both knew it, so I left. You left? Yeah, I walked out the front door. Thought some fresh air might help me cool off. Help me figure out what to say to make it up to her. Of course, the air wasn't fresh, just humid, thick like mud. And while I was pissing away the time, Diane was... Did you bring your phone with you or any other electronics? No. I kind of stormed off. Didn't even take my key fobs. Didn't even lock the door behind me. With optics down, traffic and street level cameras won't help him. That leaves... Did you go through a checkpoint or talk to anyone with modded eyes? Did you buy anything, cash or credit? No, not even a vending machine. Not even a damn vending machine, huh? I may have met my match. How can anyone be this unlucky? That's quite unfortunate. I just wanted quiet at the time. Wanted to wallow in it, really. Sorry if I don't have all the details quite right. My head is... But if my exact route would help, the cams probably... What? What is it? Optics was what? Did that even happen? And there's no other proof that you were out at the time Diane was killed. Meaning you've got no alibi. This can't. Listen, I didn't do this. I couldn't. Carlos, I am the one person you don't have to try and convince. After all, I'm your lawyer. So let's just get it all out there and see what we've got to work with. Right. Now, you said you left to clear your head. So what made you come back? I came back because I heard a noise. A loud noise. Didn't know what it was, but it was loud and it scared me. And it came from the direction of our apartment. I was walking back at first, but at some point I must have started running because when I got back, I was so out of breath. And when I saw that the front door was open, something dropped in my chest and my lungs wouldn't. You live on the first floor, right? Yeah, first floor apartment, street-facing entrance. We were proud of that when we first moved in. Like it was some kind of big deal. From the hallway, I saw her, but I didn't realize. I never thought that she was... The lights were off. The whole room was a mess. I thought we had been robbed or she had fallen or... There was broken glass, furniture knocked over. And she was... I called her name and she didn't move. I checked her pulse and she was still warm. Her blood was warm and I saw the gun. It looked so heavy, but I thought it had to be fake because I didn't want it to be real. Is that why you picked it up? What? Pick it up? I didn't touch that thing. I didn't shoot her, damn it. Doing what I do, you hear a lot of lies. White lies, blatant lies, hasty lies. Bad lies, especially. For me, it's always been easy to spot a lie, but it can be hard to know what to do about it. I have all the proof I need in my files, but he's nervous and defensive, and none of this works if he doesn't trust me. Stay up to date on the details of your evidence by checking your phone. If your clients notice that you don't know what you're talking about, they'll stop giving you any credit. You did touch the gun, Carlos. That's just a fact because... the fingerprints. The fact that your fingerprints are on that gun. What? But I didn't do this. I wasn't thinking. I was just... Carlos, all I'm saying is that you picked it up. That's all. You believe me if I said I didn't realize it was a gun? That explains how his prints got on the gun, but not in a way that would satisfy the police. Still, if all he did was hold the gun... So stupid. I know what a gun looks like. Seeing it in my own home, right in front of... You were in shock, Carlos. You still are. The police came in sometime after that. I don't remember much of what they said. Things started moving fast, it seemed like. The rest of my night went probably the way you'd expect. Carlos, you admit to having a verbal argument with Diane, but you said you were surprised to see the room trashed when you got back. To clarify, you're saying that you two never had a physical fight? What? Physical? We never fought. We never fought like that. Did the police say that we did? They assumed as much. Which means they also assumed the room was disheveled well before the shooting occurred. Considering what Carlos has told me, what else did they assume? What is it? I'd like you to take a look at something for me. The crime scene. Oh. It's an AR module built from the data taken as the police entered, so... Right, it's just that. It's just data, Carlos. No grisly details. Okay. Let me see it. Take your time. Alright, I think I got it. That's how the police found things. Now, close your eyes and think back to how the room looked when you left. Try and focus on what's out of place. Alright. I'll take notes. You just say whatever comes to mind. I don't remember exactly where everything was, but, well, the mirror was upright, of course. That clock was still on the wall. The chair got knocked over at some point, and the bed got tossed, the cushions torn, and the urn fell. Other than that... No, sorry, that's all that stands out to me. I see. Like so? Art! What's wrong? Something out of place? Carlos, you need to trust your instinct. If anything seems off, don't be afraid to speak up. It's just, I guess I just assumed your notes would be making edits to the AR? Well, I suppose that works too. Sorry, I didn't mean, I think your drawing was pretty good considering... I'd like to change the subject now, Carlos. Right, let's talk about the letter that was found on your desk. Letter? What do you mean? I mean this letter here. Do you recognize it? Because the police are calling it a confession. A confession? But this is just a note to self. Pardon? Look, when we fight, I lose my temper, say things I don't mean to. So this morning, I tried writing things down so I'd have a script to stick to. So I could apologize to her instead of just fighting with her. Carlos, you say in the note that you hurt them. That's... I broke her fidget tubbies. For what? For what? Her fidget tubbies. You know, these collectible ceramic character things. They're supposed to be like tactile. You use them as paperweights or conversation starters. Conversation starters? She loved these little things. They're not worth a damn. You could buy them at any flea market or garage sale, but they meant a lot to her, and I broke them. I mean, I was pissy at the time, but the goddamn piece of shit rental arm, I hardly know where I'm swinging it half the time. I'm so angry, I just ripped it off and tossed it in my room, that cheap, dusty, worthless... Okay, let's say he did break her frigid duckies with her as replacement arm. What does that change? Nothing at the moment. There's not enough detail in the note for me to prove what his intent was when he sat down to write it. But if the police insist on claiming it's a confession for the Heartbreak killings anyway, I couldn't even bother to sweep them up, I felt so. We know what that is. All right, Carlos, thanks for answering my questions. Now I'm going to call the police back in here, and I'm going to get this cleared up for you. What? That's it? That's it? Oh, okay. Although, before I do that, I do have to ask, what do you know about the Heartbreak Killer? Heartbreak? You mean that psycho that was trending all month? I mean, as much as anyone, I guess. I haven't been getting out much, but I'm sure everybody's on edge. A guy like that out there. He shoots people. Through the heart, right? The police have kept the victim's appearances far away from any upstanding news sources. So unless he was already following the murderers, Carlos wouldn't notice any resemblance to his girlfriend. I mean, she was shot in the chest, but that doesn't mean anything, does it? If he's this slow on the uptake, it's going to be a real shock when those officers walk in here and accuse him of being a serial killer. I'll just have to squash that theory as quickly and definitively and with certainty as possible. 4:04 a.m. June the 5th, 2086. I didn't realize you could smoke in here. Technically, I can smoke wherever I want. For a fee. Smoking in a non-smoking area. I guess so. Nervous? Don't be. I'm the one who's on the clock. Right, I'm sure this isn't your first time doing this. No, of course not. It will be my first homicide defense, though. Oh. Why does everyone always think the first time's so goddamn important? Hey, cheer up. I've got relevant experience in other areas. Oh. And, what areas are those? You ever gamble, Carlos? No, ma'am. Never go anywhere near loot boxes. Won't touch the stuff. I meant more like playing cards. Oh. Well, then, no to that, too. I've actually got pretty terrible luck. Could have fooled me. Well, what I do is a lot like poker, Carlos. Uh-oh. Poker's nice because even if you're dealt nothing but crap all night long, you can still win. Oh, is this going to have like a poker mini game? I might be in trouble if it does. Which makes things pretty fun. Okay, so, do you have a good poker face? I like to think so. And are you lucky? Only when the stakes are high. And, in this metaphor, we're playing poker. And the state's the dealer? If only. No, the state's more like... the house. You mean like the house always wins? Yes. They're very good at it. Winning, I mean. That's why they're up there and we're down here. That's why they're the house. So what do? We play the cards we're dealt as best we can, win more hands than we lose. Keep it up, and eventually someone will come over and tap the dealer on the shoulder, whisper something in their ear, and then we'll be politely asked to leave. That doesn't sound so very triumphant. The house always wins. So our definition of victory is more like, don't lose. Thanks, Morgan, but I guess I was more asking, like, what should I say? Just leave all the talking to me. So that's the strategy. What's up? You know, there's a saying about gamblers with strategies. Yo, ready to confess yet? Because I already woke up the DA. Already? She must be new. The district attorneys have final say on whether or not a case is brought to trial. Only fair, since they're the ones who end up having to actually prove the damn thing. Most of them prefer simple guilty pleas over long, protracted trials. And they all dislike having their time wasted. Unfortunately, then, you'll have to call them back. Because my client is not guilty. And frankly, I'm not even sure you have enough to hold him here. Right! What she said! You've got a weird sense of humor, counselor. Different generations, I guess. Before my time kind of thing. I'm very serious when it comes to defending a man's innocence, detective. Counselor, we have your client's written confession. His written confession. Let's start there. Okay, well, we'll be happy to. The thrust of every argument starts with facts. What's already known and agreed upon. Public knowledge for every player at the table. It's pretty simple, counselor. Real paint-by-numbers stuff. We found a note in his apartment. With his fingerprints on it. Apologizing for how he hurt them all so bad. Now, how are you planning on spinning that? Those are the facts. But I've been building up my hand all night. And now I've got the weapons to answer everything they try and throw at me. Well, my client did write that note, and it was an apology. But not for murder. He was apologizing for... Analyze the facts as they're laid out, then thumb through the responses in your hand. Drag and drop the card that best answers the argument to the right. You can mouse over your opponent for a reminder on what the key point is. It's this one. He was simply apologizing for this. The hell is that? I found myself asking that exact same question. What are we looking at here? Something from the crime scene? That's right. This diagram of the room, it's created from data you captured, right? Pure, non-GMO, augmented reality crime scene data. Yeah. What's non-GMO? Not much these days. Notice anything out of place? Yeah, the whole room's full of busted shit. It's the scene of a murder. Full of busted shit, for sure. But I was more referring to the unidentified ceramic debris found on the western side of the room. The hell is that? Ceramic debris, huh? Must be from the vase that got tossed. Actually, that's not possible. Oh, because that vase wasn't damaged. It's not possible for that debris to come from the vase, because that vase is still pristine. How is that? How is that possible? Flat. Why are you surprised? And the game is not advancing anymore. The lady at the garage sale told me it was so old and delicate. Damn it. One time I tried thrift shop on my own. Well, so what? Why does it even matter? If the vase doesn't have a scratch on it, the debris must have come from somewhere else. That debris is what my client wrote that apology over. Is saying that confession was his apology for not vacuuming. I am, because that pile of rubble is all that remains of the victim's collection of fidget tubbies. What he said. Mr. Flat broke the victim's ceramic figures by accident, and this impassioned note to self was just his attempt at scripting out an apology. Can you prove that? We're taking this seriously, as much as I wish we weren't. We're all in agreement that my client wrote that note, and we can all plainly see that there's ceramic debris at the crime scene. Now, since it couldn't have come from the vase, it must have come from the collectibles. Those things. Simple, right? The hell are you on about? The entire room was trashed, as the ARCS clearly shows, the ox. Those fidget tubbies must have gotten pulverized during the struggle, too. You really gonna claim he sat down to write an apology for breaking his toys after gunning it down? Not a bad train of thought, but I can do better. No, those collectibles were destroyed much earlier than that, and there's proof. Let's take a look at this. Uh-oh. The gun? You're saying he pistol whipped those poor little guys? That's not exactly what I meant to imply. Ugh, focus. I need to show exactly how these fiddly was pulverized. Hand, I didn't get to click. Rental. Let's take a closer look at that rental you took into custody. Huh? One swipe of your finger should show exactly how devastating it was to the fickle buddy ecosystem. It's fidget tubbies. Whatever. You did take it into custody. I'm sure your techs found ceramic debris on it, yes? Now that you mention it. Fine, whatever. He broke them with his arm. While he was killing her. Happy? Overjoyed. Because even the cheap arms got an operating system that had logged the last time it was worn, right? Right. See, I happened to spot a footnote on the lab report. Said the rental hadn't been used since the AM. Whose side you on, old man? It's gotten pretty late, sunshine. Just trying to save us all some time where I can. Well, thank you for your service. Well, thank you for your service. You seriously buying this crap? Just look at how scrawled, how panicked that note is. You expect me to believe? But it's because that's not his dominant hand. He's upset about a fidget tubby collection? One that hasn't even been graded? Setting aside Detective Ray's surprising depth of knowledge when it comes to collectibles, you're correct. They held no real monetary value. It would be odd for Carlos to be so shaken up over their loss. But so what? So what? After all, that's not panic you're seeing on that page. No, the only reason that note looks like the way it does is because Carlos is right-handed. Because Carlos is right-handed. Yeah, I am. Did they not know that? Shouldn't that be on my permanent record or something? So the reason why that note looks like Asylum Wall scribbles is just because he had to use his left hand to write it. I tend to think better writing than typing. And I need to get used to using my left arm anyways. I just thought it could be good practice. Taking that into account, alongside the ceramics, your slam dunk confession is looking about as watertight as a fishnet. Okay, fine. Forget about the confession. Congratulations, counselor. You've established that your client's remorseless. Now let's get back to the reality of the situation. Here are the facts. We found your client at the scene of the crime, wearing a coat covered in the victim's blood, right next to a big old goddamn gun that just so happened to have his fingerprints on it. That's right, that coat is... What, you're gonna claim it's not his, that he actually wears an extra small? She's trying to bait me in her typical low-key fashion. That. As the argument's slow, you won't always have the stronger hand. Sometimes the best you can do is hold your tongue and avoid overcommitting. Take as little damage as possible and wait for a more favorable chance. She must have something, no sense playing into it. Something you'd like to ask me, detective? I'm just curious, what'll it be next? You're gonna tell me that he actually was an extra small? Ooh, fascinating. I guess we stay, right? Gee, Carlos, do you? No. Yeah? Sure there's no evil twin you've forgotten to mention? Okay, where are you going with this? No, I'm afraid not. Not even gonna go for a mysterious third party at the scene of the crime. To prove his innocence, I will need to get there eventually, but going there now without hard evidence. Yeah, we stay. I have no evidence of a third person at this time. Damn right you don't. It's clear as day in the ARCs, the ARCs. No evidence of anyone but Carlos being there that night. I'll keep dreaming. Uh-oh, I did bad. It was obvious she had something there. I wasn't going to win that hand either way. At least I didn't overstep and take any more damage than I had to. Okay, so that was correct. We're not contesting any of that, detective. My client freely admits to holding that gun. He picked it up in confusion after coming home to find a brutal crime scene. Which was not smart, hey, but not illegal either. And that's all? He had her blood all over his clothes. Yes, he did. Right. Do you have those clothes on hand, by the way? The lab finished with them a while ago. What are you getting at? It'll be easier to just show you. Would you mind getting them for me? You know what? Sure. I could use the fresh air. Stinks of bullshit in here anyway. And here I thought the room smelled like... Psst, Morgan, what are you doing? My coat's covered in her blood. I remember that much. Doesn't that, like, make me look really bad? Just relax, Carlos. I'm pretty sure that's impossible. You're innocent. And that means that having more evidence will always help you, not hurt you. Really? Really? Not really. Plenty of innocent people in prison. People with bad luck. Or bad lawyers. People shouldn't count on the truth to come out easy. More often than not, it takes coaxing. What was it that reminded me of? Alright, here it is. One bloodstained jacket, fresh from the lab. So what's your angle? You gonna tell us that this is actually just hot sauce? No. That would be silly. She actually thought it over. So what the hell's your point? Hey. Sorry, just got thrown off by the turn in good fortune. What good fortune? You should thank the detective for bringing your jacket, Carlos. She's just proven your innocence. My client was arrested wearing this coat. He would have been wearing it at the time of the murder. It has the victim's blood on it, who we know died when she was shot in the heart. By a gun that happens to be an old world pre-tagging firearm. And so this coat proves he couldn't have been the shooter. Is there a gas leak in here? In what world does that make any sense? Sense happens to be here. I just need to draw their attention to what they can... Oh, there's a bug! Oh, there's a bug! The text box is over top of... Oh, no, that's what happened before. The text box is on top of the... It didn't go away for me to choose. Exactly. The coat smells like blood, but it doesn't smell of... cigarette! That's what I've been smelling. No, it doesn't smell of gunpowder. Yes, Detective London, I was smoking earlier. Could you join the conversation? I've been listening. You wanted me to smell the jacket. If you would. Let's see. Huh. No gunpowder. What? About gunpowder? Oh, don't blame yourself for not noticing. This was before your time. You can't be more than a few years older than me. Other tables have turned. But not before your partners, it seems. See, gunpowder's weak by today's standards, but it's still volatile stuff. Hard to store, prone to misfiring, and when it goes bang, it leaves behind an awful lot of evidence. hell is she talking about, London? Modern firearms like the one we carry use electricity, magnetism, even air pressure or sound waves. They've got more accuracy, more firepower, less recoil, less noise, and they don't leave behind any residue. Gunpowder residue. You talk my ear off about how difficult it is tracking down a gun that doesn't leave digital traces, but a revolver like this one? It'd leave gunpowder on the skin of whoever finds it, fired it for days. So then on his coat. If you don't trust your noses, you can check the lab reports. I think if they had found any gunpowder on my client or his clothes, they'd have taken the time to highlight it. Well, whatever. That just means he washed off after shooting her or changed his clothes. That's not impossible, but it would be pretty pointless. Huh? His jacket and his left hand were blood-soaked when your officers found him. Would he really go through all the effort to get rid of something as subtle as gunpowder residue, just to get the victim's blood all over himself afterwards? In light of these details, I'd like to formally request that you can reconsider the charges Mr. Flatt is facing, as soon as possible. Whoa. They're faltering now, should topple over at any moment. The letter was mostly icing on the cake for them, but that gun is all they had to link Carlos to any of the shootings. So if it looks like he never actually fired the gun, I'll admit things were a little dicey there at times. Uh-oh, something's about to happen. But once I was able to grasp the situation, the smaller pieces fell into place easily enough. Not my cleanest work by far, but overall, I'd say... Did she get a message? Huh. Wait, did they actually manage to find it? Uh-oh. Something you'd like to share, Detective Reyes? You're good. Thank you. Twisting the truth into knots, making the facts work for you. Thanks. But your luck just ran out, because the net scrubbers found a cam active at the exact moment of the shooting, and right now, I'm staring at a photo of the killer. Want to bet? Ooh, I like that. Want to bet? Oh, that's really good. A photo of the shooter? If she had that, we wouldn't still be talking. I doubt she's just pulling this out of her ass. She's got something from the scrubbers. Do you want to bet? That's a bold bluff for this late in the game, Detective, especially when we both know that there was an optics blackout during the shooting. Well, that's just it. This isn't from optics. I should have figured she wouldn't make a claim that bold without something to back it up. Party's over, counselor. Feast your eyes on this. Well, okay, the quality is lacking. And yet, there it is. They managed to find a quarter needle of evidence in the whole city block of haystacks. What are the goddamn chances? No, with the scale of their tools to operate on, I guess the chances are, as always, in their favor. Alright, this isn't good, but it's a far cry from the worst-case scenario I envisioned. You could even say I got lucky, which means the stakes are, well, it's a little bit blurry. Don't look at me, I didn't take the damn thing. Technically, no one took it. Looks like at the time of the shooting, a neighbor was on their phone, probably venting about how crazy the couple across the way was acting. But if their phone was on, its camera would be on, and so we managed to get this shot through the window. Where to begin? Far away, unfocused, ultra-low resolution, zoomed in, blurred, colors shifted, and so compressed it looks like it's from another century. There are tools that could enhance this image any further, and I could count the pixels on one hand. And you could kiss its admissibility in court goodbye. You can't honestly claim that you can identify my client from just this image, and there's no way in hell you could get this past a judge. Yeah, you're probably right, we couldn't. But I think I know a DA that could. Either way, doesn't seem like your client's leaving this police station anytime soon. That photo. What the hell is happening to me? Think I know a DA that could? Don't be so modest, old man. We have photo evidence of a left-handed shooter standing in the hallway at the same time the whole neighborhood heard a gunshot. And who do we know had their left-hand fingerprints all over that gun? You're referring to my client. You think? We've established he wasn't wearing his modded arm at all tonight, so he must have shot with his left. Yes, and we've also established that he's weak with his left side. A left hand that had no gunpowder whatsoever. Forensics will never be perfect, counselor. Sometimes we miss things. Sometimes you take a walk through the rain, and when you finally get where you were going, you somehow end up dry. But that doesn't mean it didn't rain. Oh, which is to say, before judge or jury, photographic evidence outweighs a failed sniff test. Carlos is innocent. I know he is. That photo shows a left-handed shooter. Carlos is innocent. That photo is real. If both are true, then that means that photo doesn't show what it appears to show. So, oh, it's the mirror. It's the mirror. It's the mirror. It's the mirror. Never. I'm just confused about one thing. Where was this photo taken? Yep, here. I got it. I'm with you, game. I'm with you, game. Exactly. Positional data is usually only accurate to the nearest public router. If we do it via the photo's owner and ask them where, why bother with any of that? Ballistics and common sense tells us the perp shot from the room's doorway. The front entrance of the apartment faces to the south. There's a hallway that runs back to the bedroom. We're looking straight at the shooter, so it's pretty obvious that this was just taken from across the north window. From the north. If this is from the north, then why can we clearly see the... Mirror, mirror on the wall. It's not that complicated. The neighbor who got the shot must live on the other side of the street. So we're looking into the bedroom from the north window. If she's wrong, I should seize on the opportunity to start turning the tide. Oh yeah, she's super wrong. I got her. I'm afraid that's simply not possible, detective. No. How did that happen? This photo has to have been taken from the east. What kind of bluff is that supposed to be? The good detectives are misinformed here, and I need to take advantage of it. Time to press the initiative. The hell do you mean this was taken from the east? Okay, hold on, actually. Okay, sorry, I had to grab something. The autopsy told us the victim was shot from the doorway. Your officer's ARCS data tells us the precise location of everything in the room at the time they arrived. And now your photo has shown us the exact moment of the shooting. And you can now raise the ante on your hand up to the current max. Answer wrong, you lose more credit, but answer correctly, and you can bank up more credit for trickier hands down the line. Altogether, as long as you consider... Hold on. Altogether, that tells us that this photo must have been taken through the east window, as long as you consider... How do I... I want to raise. Oh, plus here. Revolver, vase, statement, mirror. Room to scratch. It's got to be the mirror. This the statement, yes? Just take one look at the clock in that photo. Oh, I don't see the clock, but whatever. The clock? What about it? The clock, huh? Seems like London's got an idea. If he's mistaken, I could pounce on it to keep my tempo high. This photo was taken at... Ah, there we go. There it is. Wait, don't tell me the time of death is wrong. No, my friend. That's a good question, Detective London. But the answer's no. The autopsy, the clock, and the neighbors all agree the time of death was 9 p.m. Right, no mistaking that. No, stop doing that! So then what do you want about? There's a clock on the wall in this photo, analog style, and it reads 9 o'clock, 9 p.m., the time of the shooting. The hell's so special about that? Nothing. There's nothing odd about the time the clock reads. But do you remember there being a clock in the room? What? Actually, I don't recall there being a clock. That makes sense. You wouldn't recall seeing a clock. Because when the police secured the scene, the clock had already been knocked onto the floor. And the only clock in that room is in the northeastern corner. And my client has informed me that before the crime, it was hung up on the eastern wall. Like so. What the hell is that supposed to be? An artistic rendition. It's, very distinct. If you had information on how the crime scene was before the shooting, why didn't you just add that to the ARCS? And show you my hand? Just because discovery law compels us to share info, doesn't mean we have to play fair, detective. Slip my mind. I'll do that now. The important thing is, if that clock was on the eastern wall before the shooting occurred, then this photo must be looking through the western window to see it? Don't start getting ahead of yourself. The victim was shot at 9 p.m., the same time that the photo was taken of the shooter. But you want to claim that the clock's still on the eastern wall when it would have been knocked down during the fighting? You got your login backwards, detective. Your precious photo shows that the room was still pristine at the time of the shooting, and that there's one other piece of evidence that proves exactly how the cards fell. Take another look at the crime scene. Cheap, durable, and damn near spotless. So what? It's not like a time safe. Why does it do that? The freaking thing is in the way. No. I want the mirror. Glass. Glass shards? What about them? Nothing much, really. Only that they're on top of the victim's body. And not under it. If the glass fell on top of the victim's body, that would mean that she was dead on the ground before the room got trashed. But that doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone trash the room afterwards? It's a good question, Carlos. Luckily, it's detectives who have to delve into the minds of the criminally insane, not us. Tell me, detectives, were there any signs of a struggle at the other crime scenes? Other crime scenes? No, nothing like that. Those attacks would have been over in a matter of seconds. So, what did you think when you saw the mess in the bedroom? That this was personal and things had gotten complicated. Shit happens. Shit does happen, detective. But in this case, it seems there's been a general misconception about the order in which shit happened. So why did the room didn't get tossed over till afterwards? He still shot her. And we have a photo right here. And I'm glad you do, detective, because that photo proves my client's innocence. Because he doesn't have a right arm. That's the right arm. Huh? Proving that it wasn't my client who proved the trigger is difficult, and maybe more importantly for all of us, time-consuming. Thanks to your photo, I can instead prove that it couldn't have been my client who pulled the trigger, because the man in that photo can't possibly be Carlos. Like hell it can't. The glass shards prove the room was pristine at the time of the shooting. Oh, the glass shards. We know that until the room was tossed, the clock was on the eastern wall, which means that this photo of the shooter was taken from the west. Back to this shit, that's impossible. The only way the apartment was from north to south. The only person who prints on that gun is your client, and the only murder to use 6 innocent people. You're a very honest person, detective. Excuse me? That's why you're such a shitty gambler. You've played your cards too early, and now I can steal the pot from right under you. You're right about the hallway's orientation. You're right about the prints. And this HK figure has claimed 6 lives. But we aren't looking at the hallway in the photo. What? What we're seeing is... No, God, it did it again! Oh, that's so frustrating! Developers, if you can see this. Mirror. What is that? You trying to... The glass shards again? Sort of. By the way, do you recall where those glass shards came from? Yeah, sure, they came from a standing mirror. A mirror that, at the time of the shooting, stood across this room from the western window. But then, that would mean, at that angle, from that viewpoint, at that time, at that day, it would reflect the hallway. So we're not looking at a shooter with a gun in their left hand. We're seeing a killer take aim with their right arm. And as we all know, my client hasn't had a working right arm in a number of weeks, and he hasn't worn his rental since this morning. So I meant what I said about that photo. I'm glad that it was recovered, because it just proved that my client couldn't possibly have committed this crime. Oh! That should be the end of it. Except it looks like Detective Reyes really is a novice gambler. Sunk cost has got its teeth in her now, clawing up her spine, whispering wounded pride in her ear. It's a cold sweat, hot palms kind of fever. The impotent, irrational fury of losing something you thought was guaranteed yours. Unlucky for you, Detective, I'm well versed in shock therapy. You look dissatisfied, Detective Reyes. That's one word for it. Then allow me to put a nice bow on everything for you. In summary, my client's so-called confession was just a note to self. The police found him in shock, reeling at the death of his girlfriend, and arrested him for being next to a gun he forensically couldn't have fired. After being confronted with these facts, you received photographic evidence of the exact moment of the shooting, and instead of utilizing said photo to track down the real killer, you tried to claim it depicted my client, a man without the requisite limb, standing in an architecturally impossible hallway. He could have had a backup arm! He could have stolen one! A little stubbornness can be charming, but this kind of desperation is ugly. It's getting late, time to bare my fangs. A bit. That's the best you've got? Even a bare-bones prosthetic off the black market needs to be attuned to an individual's nervous system. He'd have to bring it into a clinic, which would have left a record on his shoulder OS. A record you won't find. And he'd still have to somehow have gotten rid of it before the police arrived. SOP at the scene of a violent crime calls for full-spectrum scanning of the entire building and 100 meters around at minimum. So where, Detective Reyes, did he manage to hide a cybernetic arm from your drones in the time between the shooting and his arrest? Well? Any objections? Detective. Oh, damn it! Full. He's cool. Show me your hand, Flat. You're uncuffing me? In light of the evidence, we have no reason to hold you. Now I gotta go call the DA and tell her I made a mistake. Not we made a mistake, huh? Listen, kid, you should know. Detective? Lost my train of thought. But hey, your attorney's a real tiger, and she just fought like hell for you. Make sure you thank her properly. Public defense doesn't pay that well. Yeah. That's kind of you to say, Detective, but my work is its own reward. Sure. I feel exactly the same, Counselor. What happens now? I'll have to speak with the DA about the dismissal, and there's still some paperwork we'll need to go through, but basically you're free to go. Congrats! You get to leave the casino with your kneecaps intact. Eh? But what am I supposed to do? The detectives will continue their investigation. Their investigation into Heartbreak, huh? Yes. When the authorities are satisfied with their examination of the body, she'll be handed over to the next of kin. And then you can make funeral arrangements. No, that's not what Diane being gone is bad enough, but a serial killer? It's like she died of the flu. It doesn't happen anymore. People die of the flu all the time, but I know what you mean. Can't make sense of it. So what am I supposed to do? Hell if I know. There are some contacts I could give you. Services, professionals, doctors. No, you've done more than enough for me. When you got here, I was too tired to even defend myself. Try and convince them that I didn't. You saved me. Thank you. You're welcome, Carlos. But it's my job to. No, I mean, thank you for not asking. For not asking if I killed her. Oh, Carlos. I didn't need to ask. I knew you were innocent from the start. Of course he was. After all. No! The blood's always different. Heart's always in the same place, easy to find, hard to miss. But the blood's always different. A flowering stain unfurling towards an invisible sun. A perfectly unique bloom, only one for each of us. A Rorschach test with singular, universal meaning. Vitality at its climax. Bursting forth into a red fractal consisting solely of an infinite the end. But the comical thud of a body hitting the floor has its own kind of lowbrow appeal. No way. No way. No way. Bullet number 6 of 6. The gun's empty. It's useless to me now. May as well leave it. Feels like a waste, but whatever. Finding the ammo was almost enough of a hassle to outweigh the advantages. Holy shit, this music! I could sell an untagged gun for a fair bit of cash, but cash can't buy you peace of mind. Oh, don't look so surprised, lady. See the mask drop. Hoping around in the dark here, must have only been able to see my silhouette. Did she think I was her boyfriend? Back for an encore of that enthralling conversation. Can't ask her now. Hey, did you hear that? These old pieces are so goddamn loud. And people aren't even familiar enough with the sound anymore to know to run the other way. Probably roused half the neighborhood. But I didn't see anything I could use even a partial suppressor on the way in. Could they really not afford some throw pillows? I used the other 5 bullets in outdoor spaces and small spheres of blind opportunity that the city's eyes couldn't think to pierce. Cramped places, usually full of trash. But this room, as cheap as it looks, is at least clean, organized even. So the corpse adds a certain satisfying contrast. Except, there's shit on the floor. By the window there are broken pieces of something fragile and tacky. It's fine. It's just one thing out of place. Actually, it's not fine. It's actually really irritating. I kick over the stupid goddamn mirror. 5 perfect crime scenes, each of them not a speck of evidence, nothing to go on. For the final shot, there just has to be some pile of shit in the corner ruining everything. I check the wall. Something falls from it, probably more tasteless bullshit. I toss over the chair, knock the urn, tear into the sheets with my frustration and try to savor the shredding. If it can't be clean, I'll just have to lean into the messy angle. At least it will be consistent? Consistent! Ooh, that's writing for you. This was all so stupid. Honestly, I'm not the ego-driven type. In fact, I pride myself on my humility. Now, was it satisfying when the first 3 went down with single shots? Yes. But so what? I'm not made of stone. After that, I did start to actively aim for the heart, but... Heartbreak killer? Really? Don't people have anything better to do with their time? What kind of miserable, lifeless voyeurs would obsess over something that's none of their business? All of the threads and breakdowns and the goddamn theory crafting. All for the heartbreak killer. Sounds like a soap opera villain from a season where the writers were on strike. I'd feel insulted by the label, but no, that's someone else's name. They came up with it. They came up with it. They spread it. They marketed it. Heartbreak's got nothing to do with me. He's just some reclusive, lonely, socially impotent loser who shot 6 people because... Well, I'm sure people will come up with something. That he got rejected one too many times or whatever. Me, I killed those people because I saw them and I wanted to. And I've killed a lot more than just 6. At least the room is thoroughly trashed now. If I had just walked away after seeing that mess by the window, it would have irritated me to no end. And now that it doesn't match the MO of the last 5 perfectly, it'll irritate the cops to no end instead. Good riddance, Heartbreak. You enjoy your 15 minutes in the spotlight. Really savor it. I'm going home. The air's weighty tonight. Thick, energized. A heavily foreshadowed summer rain I could feel on every hair. So are we like getting people... Are we like defending people in the full game of crimes that our protagonist committed? That's wild if so. They call this kind of humidity oppressive, but I disagree. The warm tension on your skin, like in those short moments just after the shower turns off when the steam lingers. Yeah, it's always most comfortable right afterwards. Maybe there's no disagreement to be had. Oppressive things can be comforting too. Only the guilty ones run. I don't know about that, but I know I've never felt guilty about any of this, and I walk. Sorry, using my left is still. That's okay, you just initial in those spots. I took a scenic route home, courtesy of our fine city's sprawling public transportation, and got in a bit after 11. Had myself a thorough shower, drank a glass of milk, did some stretching, made sure my phone was on. Time went by evenly. Around 1:40 a.m., a posting for public defender work came up. Decent rate since it was so late and so urgent. I had wagered correctly that the boyfriend would have enough sense to ask for a lawyer and enough debt that he'd need to be provided one. All I had to do was stay awake. There wasn't much competition after 1 in the morning. Okay, where else? Here and here. How did I phrase it earlier? Criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. Oh, why wouldn't I take on a job where I already knew more than the cops? It would have been easy to convince Carlos to plead out. I would have gotten paid the same too. But easy is dangerous. Carlos was, of course, innocent, so his conviction would never be airtight. There would be doubts, questions, appeals, maybe even fans, depending on his looks. More attention on HK and his crimes, more headaches. A cold case rotting in the very far back of the public's awareness is always preferable to one open and shut in haste. Now, with no more murders matching HK's MO, there won't be any additional public pressure to find a culprit. Now Heartbreak can just starve to death, out of sight and mind like any other fluke in the system. Almost done. Getting involved with a case this intimately does have its risks. Hell, I might have even overdone things here or there. Like letting up a smoke inside an interrogation room just to make doubly sure I didn't still smell of gunpowder myself. Oh, that's so clever. That London fellow seemed more fixated on it than I would have liked, but obviously everything turned out rosy. And it's worth it for the finality of it all. Seeing the authorities' failings from the best seat in the house? That's just a bonus. Thanks again, Morgan, for everything. I'm sure Diane is grateful too. Oh, you. Oh, boy. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Funny. I didn't even know her name. Oh, that's so fucked. I love it. That's so fucked. Is something the matter? No, sorry. It's just, I was mad when I left the apartment. I know she was too, so when she died. Death was instantaneous, Carlos. I can't imagine that she was in any pain. In fact, I can guarantee she was dead before she hit the ground. No, I know, but I just keep thinking that she must have died angry at me. That she must have died hating me. Ooh, do we present evidence here? Ooh. You know what? Let's do the demo. We can make them present evidence. To tell you the truth, Carlos, there's something I've been wondering about myself. What is it? Something I noticed in the ARC's data that I didn't quite understand. A piece of the puzzle I couldn't fit anywhere else. Oh, the medicine. But maybe you can make sense of it. What is the... Where did you find that? That pill organized... Oh, good. Good thing the freaking bug... She had it grasped in her hand when she died. Obviously, the police added it to the ARCs. But it was quickly ruled irrelevant. Seems like it contained triprexisone, prescribed to help modders with phantom itches. They're small tablets, and those are tricky clasps, too, for a pill organizer. Could be hard to handle with an unsteady hand. No one will ever know what she was feeling when she died, even if they did. Feelings are complicated. You can feel angry, happy, and sad all at the same time. But as far as facts are concerned, it would appear that when she died, what she was doing was setting out your medications for the week. Oh. To my eyes, anyway. Oh. 5:01 a.m., June 5th. Long night. That was too far just now. Practically rubbing it in his face. It's not like I care about his feelings. I doubt I'll ever see him again. But overstepping like that is pure hubris. And hubris invites a downfall. So why did I even bother? It was the last piece of the puzzle, I suppose. I'll just need to show more restraint next time. Though there won't be a next time for Heartbreak. The gun's in custody. There's no more bullets left. There won't be a 7th victim. There won't be any more leads to pursue. The media will move on to their next obsession. I'll move on to my next MO. And no one will ever found you. District Attorney Rockford. Sorry, can I try that again? I'm so fried. By all means. Counselor Morgan, morning, noon, or night, you're always so put together. Thank you. I don't get it. Do you sleep at night? Pardon? You do white noise, aromatherapy, whatever you're doing, I need to steal it. I must have bags under my eyes dark enough for the dumpsters. Assistant District Attorney Emma Rockford. She's a prosecutor, the lawyer who argues for the state in court, trying to prove a defendant's guilt. And despite her sometimes unkempt appearance, she's probably the sharpest person to fill the position in decades. I should know, since I haven't beaten her once. Oh! Worse yet, she has the remarkable ability to compartmentalize all the adversarial energy and only bring it out in the courtroom. It's part of what makes her good at her job, and hard for me to read. Should I buy a new mattress? What have they got you doing at this ungodly hour, Emma? Oh, well, actually, I'm here for you. Me. Your client was a suspect in the Heartbreak killings. That's my case. Well, then you must have been relieved finding out that you won't have to go for trial against me. No. Why would I be worried about going up against you? It's always the unintended barbs with her. So you're working with those detectives? Yeah, London and the new girl. Raise. They've been reporting to me in preparation for trial. Preparation for trial? That seems ambitious. I guess they gave you the rundown. They've been doing everything they can, but it's hard to catch a killer who leaves behind so little. It's hard to kill while leaving so little behind. So, Ray's told you that they had HK in custody and you popped out of bed all excited to run down here? Hardly. I haven't slept in 40 hours. Too much on my mind. So when I heard about a case with a single female victim shot through the heart, yeah, my ears perked up, but that's about all. Oh? Uh-oh. Hold on. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I mean, Carlos Flat, a serial killer? The same serial killer that's outsmarted the state for weeks? She's not using her as middle name. He was found with the murder weapon. But I can answer that any number of ways. But this could point to me. Oh, I don't know actually. It could have been Flat. No. Fingers can't bend. That may be true, but then I glanced at the report. You glanced at it? No gunpowder residue on him or his clothes, right? Too remorseful, too apologetic in that note. Whatever it was about, his dominant arm modded with documented sensitivity issues. Never could have made shots that clean. Not without getting close enough to leave scorch marks. Not to mention, he's too tall for the ballistics entry angles. Geez, we didn't even talk about it. And probably too heavy to not leave imprints. She got all that from a glance. She's pouting. But I'm sure a competent lawyer like yourself pointed all that out the minute you walked in here. Of course. Worst part is, she's not even being sarcastic. Yeah, of course it couldn't have been him. Huh? Long-term relationship. Physically imposing, argumentative, so not the type to bottle things up. He didn't match the profile. Profile? Yeah, Right, sorry, you probably never heard of it. I know what a goddamn profile is. A profile is a reconstruction of criminal psychology based on evidence from their crimes. Kind of fallen out of fashion in the last few decades. Not much need to guess about the why, when 99 times out of 100 the who is caught on camera. Or before they even leave the house. I've had to find some real fossils and oddballs to get advice on how to go about it, but I think I'm getting the hang of it. About profiling. So this profiling, it's some kind of investigative technique? The theory is that a crime can tell you something about the nature of the person who committed it. Stabbing, overkill, points to passion, rage, lust. They probably knew their victim. Poison and guns, meanwhile, suggest they can't overpower their victim's suggests they can't overpower their victims physically. And then there's the things you can assume about nearly all serial offenders. Childhood trauma, prior criminal record, few or no meaningful attachments. There's a lot of recurring themes in their stories. The detectives say HK doesn't leave evidence, so how much can his crimes possibly tell you? That he's diligent, almost perfect, highly intelligent, painstakingly organized, and with enough criminal connections to get his hands on an untagged firearm. It's rare to see her this animated outside of the courtroom. It's almost like she is enjoying herself. A sheltered house cat who's picked up the scent of a mouse for the first time. A lone wolf, educated, but all her playfully lethal instincts coming to life. Probably overqualified or undervalued, though I'm not thrilled about the fact that in metaphor I would be, know what I mean? Definitely! And considering the marksmanship, the detective said that HK would have needed insider information on optics. So does that mean Heartbreak's in law enforcement? Never in 10 billion years. Oh. Antisocial, independent, despises authority. That'd be like a stallion applying for a job on a merry-go-round. And you still have merry-go-rounds in 2086? Okay. They'd be kicking kids in the head after the first full rotation. Right, that's exactly how I'd put it. There must be some connection to the police, though. Maybe secondary or tertiary? These types can't help but insert themselves. Insert themselves? Ooh, she's got us. She's got us dead to rights. Why? Okay, is this another bug? I don't even do anything resembling that. Ugh. Devs, if you should happen to come across this footage, so I'm playing with the controller, but and I think that's might be where I'm getting these bugs. I don't know. Just to wait. If HK is not a cop, what do they know about the blackout timing? Crime meta statistics analysis, probably. Pardon? Take the emergency response time from across the city and map them out. Look for brief spikes and delays. Chart out the dips and sorry, technical, I know. But all the requisite data is publicly available. With a map, a spreadsheet, a calculator, anyone could reverse engineer the timing if they wanted to. That is such an unpleasant thought, Emma. Well, at least this heartbreak maniac will slow down now that he's lost his weapon. He didn't lose it, he chose to leave it behind. That tells me he's confident he can do just fine without it. And it just makes me even more certain that these aren't his only kills. Were there other shootings with the same MO? No, not that I found. Other victims that fit the description? No. But I'm not overly focused on the victim's appearance anyway. I mean, these 6 victims all look like each other, but they also look like a lot of people. That's true. Hell, they kind of look like me. Oh. Do they? Sure. What, you don't see it? I hadn't thought about it. The point is, no one can kill that cleanly when it's their first time. Anything's that perfect takes practice, so I know that HK must have had a lot more than 6 occasions to practice, Morgan. And that's why I think heartbreak is a misnomer. You've got something catchier in mind? I just don't think shooting them in the heart has any particular significance. No, stop it! If anything, it's a testament to their accuracy and their cold-blooded efficiency. The best possible use of 6 untagged bullets. 6 kills guaranteed, no matter what kind of life support mons they were packing. Their real signature isn't the bullets or the gun. It's the perfection. That's hard to wrap your head around. I'm saying that these 6 murders were just a fluke, a slip-up, a mistake. Uh-oh. She doesn't like that. Super. Exactly, a mistake. They got too clean, too efficient, and now they've got the public's attention. No wonder they're so pissed. Are you talking about the crime scene? Yeah, probably threw the detectives for a loop, right? Based on what you've said, I don't blame them. Whoever trashed that room doesn't seem like the smooth operator you've been describing. On the contrary. I don't follow. This was the last bullet, their last shot. The other 5 were perfect. So if anything was out of place this time around, they must have thrown one hell of a temper tantrum. Make them sound like a child. Childish, and cowardly, and two-faced. Someone who hates to lose almost as much as they love to win. Your profile tell you all that? That? No. That part's just... takes one to know one. So, to summarize, you're looking for a cold-blooded, faceless, perfectionist killer who you think has no persistent MO or victim type. In a city with an 8-digit population? Well, good luck! I don't need luck, I only need more information. Well, I'm sure the city would be happy to provide you with more resources. No, Morgan, I need more crime scenes. Oh. Sad truth is, if Heartbreak walked away today, I'd never catch them. Only way my net narrows is if they keep piling up bodies. Not a very fair trade, is it? No, it isn't. But getting screwed over is a given. It's a deal with the devil. Ooh la la. Fair enough. Woof. Okay, that rant was pretty morbid and detailed. I need to get out more, sleep more. Or sleep less, but harder. You think a higher thread count would help? Don't worry about it. I'm always happy to listen to you ramble. It's a lot more pleasant than having to face you in the court. Sorry, but that's the adversarial process, so no hard feelings, yeah? No hard feelings. We're both just doing what we do. Huh? I could use a cup of coffee. How about you? Don't tempt me. If you fall asleep face first onto the table, I won't even take a picture. Okay, just don't expect this to make a difference next time we're at each other's throats. Heartbreak won't claim any more victims. In 2 weeks, the media will have moved on to the next sensation. And the police will have moved on to cases they actually stand a chance of closing. It's what people do. But Emma is different. She'll set it aside and work a dozen other cases, never bringing it up. But a private corner of that frustratingly sharp mind of hers will continue to whittle away at it. Never finishing, but never quitting either. So I can't afford to take my eyes off of her. Ooh la la. As long as that's the case, I may as well try to enjoy the view. Episode 0 and ooh. Very, very good. Oh, wait, we're still going? Hello? Android. which means you're going to be living with my friend for a while. For how long? I'm sorry, I do not know. That's... There's no need to look that upset over it. My face barely moved. It may as well have been a blatant pout from where I'm sitting. That's... Yeah, like that. That's... This friend of yours, they're trustworthy? Absolutely. In fact, I trust them more than anyone. That's... Hey, come on, it'll be fun. That's... Really? Really? Educational, too. I think you could stand to learn a lot from someone like Morgan. Credits, art and art direction by @EvilLittleBug. Environment and programming by Patrick Mangy Carface Mulholland. Written and directed by Brian Mulholland. Full sound attribution available at ofthedevil.card.co. Special thanks to our enders, Ultralix, Summer, Kilula, Meadow, Monks, Maxi, DevTalk. DevTalk! Oh, DevTalk! Billy Game Mechanics, our beta testers, our fans, and all our friends and family. Made with Unity plus Study Novel, Tween, Pro Builder, Shapes of the Devil, Episode 0. To be continued in. You're the smartest person I know, Morgan. When it comes to people. There's always been nut jobs that find the company's work controversial. Lawyers don't usually show up at the crime scene this fast. I said it would be a pain in the ass. I never said I couldn't do it. The company's got us set for life, and probably afterwards, too. I'd rather die than play the kind of slop those machines compose. So that's not just a lawyer job thing? You dress like a doorman on the weekends, too? Compared to determining fault, determining cause of death is like a breath of fresh air. The company has every right to defend itself. These laws exist for good reason, you know. People like that just don't belong in this world. Father said that you owed him. I don't do anything out of the goodness of my heart, but when I take a job, I never half-ass it. Of the Devil, Episode 1, An Idle Mind. That was really good. Oh no, is it over? Is it? I can think it's over for real now. Episode 0 results. Oh no, we get a score or something. 2 of 2 articles, 6 of 6 profiles, all the key items, all the evidence. I finished episode 0 with 27 credit. Congratulations, you've unlocked the store menu in your phone. You've got 27 store credit to spend on phone charms and case colors. You also unlocked concept art and bonus scenarios based on your highest score for episode 2. Bonus scenarios? What do you mean? Is there more? Ooh, okay. Interview with London. Begin playback. Want to interview me? It's very flattering. Not the more lively folk ran after the question. I had considered that, so I'm not your first choice. You're the first one who hasn't walked away. Come to think of it, I should probably... So what are your 3 sizes? Have you been opening with that? Should I not? Do you have any pets? Afraid not. Would need 1 or 2 or 3 promotions to afford that kind of thing. Are pets that expensive? Only if you care about them. Maybe if I found a place closer to the park. Have you ever owned any automated dependents? Not had the chance. Would you own one if you could? Maybe one of the little vacuum ones. Anything more complicated than that is, if you find the owner's manuals intimidating, there are video-based tutorials I could show you. I'm not worried about the ease of use, don't worry. When I say complicated, I mean... It's like what I said about pets. Fine to leave a goldfish in a tiny bowl. Time it takes to swim half a lap, it'll have forgotten what the first half looks like. Not a very tall hierarchy of needs there, easy to please. But a cat? A dog? I don't want to be at work thinking about how bored they are sitting at home. And today's ads are a lot smarter than dogs about most things. That's a very thoughtful perspective, Detective London. It's a moot point anyway. I need to get hit by a city bus to afford any of the new stuff Noble's selling. Fascinating. No, you're thinking of the sheltered generation. Sheltered as in sheltered upbringing? Or shelter in place. There was a lot of uncertainty during their childhood. So when they grow up, they wanted surety, safety, stability. Wanted to know that their heat would stay on in the winter. And their politics reflected that. But that was all before my time. My generation is a little more, well, Generation Zen. That's why they called us in their think pieces. Even-tempered, mentally strong, and more than a little cynical. You disagree? It wasn't a matter of mindfulness. We just grew up without false expectations. Our vision wasn't clouded with illusions about impossibilities like homeownership or retirement. We realized early on we'd be working right up until we'd... Detective? Unrealistic expectations. Some people call that hope. To see your friends, your classmates drowning every day in that kind of mire. Then have to listen to people 3 times your age go on about how enlightened today's youth are. Gen Zen. Not a name I'm particularly fond of. Ooh. So, how long have you been in law enforcement? Too long. And how long have you been with the homicide department? Not that long, by comparison. Sorry, don't mean to be overly vague. If you really want to know, I spent the bulk of my career over in arson. Was it different from homicide? Last year, I'd say. Everyone jokes that homicide solved themselves in a city with this many cameras. Meanwhile, fraud and disinfo were so entrenched in the tech arms race they barely come up for air. But arson really hasn't changed much in the modern era. Fire is still very good at destroying evidence. You can't expect a drone net to sweep into burnt rubble and bring you back off the culprit's fingerprints and driver's license. It's a lot of legwork, a lot of interviewing. And since more than half the culprits we caught were burners helping Megs commit insurance fraud, we spent a lot of time making friends and enemies in high-rise corporate boardrooms. Megs? Just slang for mega corporations, which is also just slang. At what size does a corporation become mega? It's not really about gross revenue or how many countries you operate in, and if you're big enough to crush people, you're a meg. An apex predator among apex predators, like the Otodus megalodon of the Miocene epoch. Hey, wait, is that where it comes from? So why are you working in the homicide department? What's that? Why'd you leave arson? The smoke. The smoke? Ooh, it's got to a point where I couldn't stand the smell. Interesting. That's an interesting detail. I like that quite a bit. Let's go to see how Reyes is doing. Okay, you can start now that my desktop's censored. So for the record, your full name is Farah Reyes. And how is that pronounced? Like how I just said it? Farah Reyes. Farah Reyes. So Reyes. Reyes. Thank you. Your birthday is October 19th. And how do you take your coffee? She makes you fetch the coffee? Figures. Wait, let me guess. Counselor Morgan takes her coffee black. No decaf, like a real psychopath. Decaf, yes, sometimes with milk. Nice, that's even worse. And you, detective? With 2 sugars and a bottle of water now that I've got this. You mean your eye? When did you have it modded? After I learned I was getting promoted to detective. And before I realized I was getting promoted to homicide. Do you regret it? No. Would have wanted it for work eventually. If it takes me a while longer to pay off than I expected, well, I'm hardly the only person my age walking around with their debts socketed onto them. I see. What are your likes? My likes? Pretty broad ass, don't you think? In that case, perhaps you'd find it easier to describe your dislikes. Small plates. Oh. I hate that dinner by 1,000 cuts shit. I see. I dislike cheap people. And liars. And lawyers. And lying lawyers. They're smug, prideful, they bill by the minute, greed personified. Like their time is so goddamn important. And they're annoying and pale and smug. Should I put down smug twice? I think she has someone in mind. So what do you like, detective? Do you have hobbies, areas of interest? Well, automotive history, maybe. Oh, could you say more about that? I guess I could talk about it a little bit. The following section has been altered from its original format. It has been edited for time. Ackwood, which was supposed to be a luxury version of a pickup truck, as if there's a market for that. If it's so stupid, I love it. And from a purplish, bluish, chromish color, the copyright was so intense that just mixing the paint was illegal for naturally aspirated. Do you imagine? I see. Do you own a car yourself? You're joking, right? I'd rather eat asphalt than buy an EV with my hard-earned money. The following section has also been altered from its original format. It has been edited for time. Strong language. 4 motors and a computer chip. That's not engineering. That's barely even programming. And as if acceleration was all that mattered. Any race longer than 2 seconds and simulated engine noise. And who in their right mind? I believe that fills out your dislike section. So what is your favorite drink? Dark and Stormy's pretty good. How do you make that? Ginger beer, rum, and a lot of lime juice. You putting together a recipe book or something? Who is your hero? That one's easy. Detective Kasim London, of course. Oh, should I relay your sentiments to him? I'm sure he'd love to hear them. Somehow I doubt that you'd get the tone right. Very well. In that case, what are your 3 sizes? My what? The measurements for your bust, waist, and I'm not telling you that. Where the hell are you getting these questions from? I designed my interview process to extract all the same kinds of facts that are most commonly listed online. On what websites? open source, collaborative, community-focused databases. You mean like a wiki? Would you prefer to skip this question? Tell you what, if you could find a single person who does answer that question, I'll give you mine down to the millimeter. Uh-oh. All right, 2 more. So this is like an off-boarding thing, an exit interview? Yes, it is like that. Oh. Well, that's sweet of Morgan, still worrying about me. How'd she know I'd be here? She didn't. Why are you here? Oh, hoping to get back some of my stuff that the police collected as evidence. Don't tell Morgan that, by the way. Is there something embarrassing about among what they seized? No, it's just, I'm guessing as my lawyer, is she still my lawyer? Well, as a lawyer, she'd probably know the exact right form to get this stuff back, but it's okay. I wanted to do this myself. Why is that? Conquering my fears, maybe. Last time I came here, I was dragged in, strong-armed. Everything was going so fast, I barely spoke. I didn't stand up for myself. I had been able to stop and think things through clearly. Well, I could never have done what Morgan did, but maybe I wouldn't have gotten myself dug so deep. It must have been very upsetting being accused of something so terrible. I'm sure you reacted just as well as anyone could be expected to. Thanks. I think. My arm? No, it's not back yet. At this point, I might be better off getting an upgrade rather than waiting for my current model to get fixed. Is that allowed? Yeah, it is. Can't downgrade, can't trade in, can't opt out. But Candy will let me upgrade anytime. Do you ever regret it? Getting modded? Sometimes. But I have a lot of regrets. Compared to some of them, buyer's remorses. How do you deal with your buyer's remorse? Lately I've been lying face down on the floor and exhaling. Just for 30 seconds. I count to 30. And you feel better afterwards? Yeah. I mean, I've seen the protests, but I've never... There's a lot of pains being a modder. Makes sense that people would have loud opinions, want them heard, but we all made a choice. All signed the papers. I guess that's just it, huh? Not all of us made the choice ourselves. I got modded to help my career. Didn't need to get modded just in order to have one. But a lot of people did and do. There was this guy who worked with us for 1 quarter. Probably a vet, but definitely didn't want to talk about it, so none of us asked. Good co-worker, Moran Kung Ho, cheery in a musclehead kind of way. It's a physical job, so there's no slouches, but he wasn't just fit, he was cut and handsome. So when he kept showing up to work with more and more mods, all of them cosmetic, I didn't get it. What's he missing? What's a guy like that want to change about himself? Got offered full-time at the end of the contract, but he said he needed something that paid better. Turns out he'd blown every paycheck at elective surgeons. Al of mine in HR said he had given his insurance info to 6 different clinics in 4 weeks. Word is, he wasn't even using the pain pills. Sold them to some of the drivers for extra cash. That's the worst I've ever seen it. Grafting runaway or plastophilia or whatever they're calling it now. But it's not the only time I've seen it. It's not like there's no incentive for it. Because there are plenty of mags out there that see people hunting like that and think, there's an ideal worker. Yikes. So you work for Morgan and you're... Wow. Lawyers must make more money than I realized. Wait, are you here to give me the bill? How much do I owe? You don't owe her anything. Her services were paid for by the state. And I happen to be forbidden from handling any kind of financials, due to an ongoing dispute about what constitutes essential office supplies. I hear ya. Diane was always this money-smart one. Pretty strict, actually, but unless you saw a fidget tubby on the shelf. You could see her eyes light up, could hear her huffing like she just won the lottery. They're ugly cute, babe. And I would say, well, you're cute, babe. Believe it or not, she thought I was pretty suave. No. Alright, one more. You're gonna interview me? Here? You did say I need to practice asking better questions, but right now? Because you said the police would be making us wait so they feel more important for the next 20 minutes. Is there some more productive way we could spend that time? I was planning on napping. For 20 minutes? In the lobby of a police precinct? I could fall asleep anywhere. It's one of my many hidden talents. You're gonna write all this down? Could you start with your name for the record? Morgan. And your first name? You should know by now that no one calls me by my first name. That's something you have control over. I wouldn't want to force the issue. How long has that been the case? As long as I care to remember. Then what did your parents call you? The tumor. That was a joke. Oh, maybe we should have started you off with someone a little more your speed. Who better to start with than you? Someone who likes talking about themselves. You seem to talk about yourself as much as anyone else does. Or more. I tell people things about myself. It's different. Because you're lying? Now you're getting it. It's not very polite to lie. On the contrary, telling the truth is usually rude. I'm not sure that your clients would appreciate that sentiment. We're not talking about my clients, we're talking about manners. We were supposed to be talking about you. Look, the sooner you learn this, the better. When people ask how you are or what you've been up to, they're not looking for anything nearly so heavy as the truth. They're just following the template, and the polite thing to do is for you to follow the template as well. Here, let's practice. Hi, how are you? I'm good, thank you. Way too late, the whole point is to be on autopilot. Now you've forced them to grab the wheel, check their mirrors, and no one's ever grateful for the extra workload. You can be very cynical about these kinds of things at times. I'm just saying to teach. I'm just trying to tell you that people are fundamentally lazy. So if you want to be a social butterfly like me, try not to make them work too hard. Fundamentally lazy? Do you really think people are fundamentally good? Do you think people are fundamentally good too? Obviously, if they weren't, they wouldn't be so easy to trick. So are you planning on answering any of my questions about yourself? I've still got time to kill. Fire away. Will you be honest? I wouldn't want to be rude. When is your birthday? Wait, you're not trying to guess my passwords, are you? I would never commit identity fraud. Not the worst way of going about it, actually. December 26th. The 26th. That's almost Christmas. But almost Christmas means it's not Christmas. Your insights are always so original. Did you receive your presents on your birthday or on Christmas? What do you mean? Did you not celebrate Christmas in your family? We did. So did your parents give you presents on the 25th or the 26th? Well, I got Christmas presents on Christmas, and I got birthday presents on my birthday. Obviously. So are all your questions going to be this strange? Or is she lying about her birthday, and so it's not, she's not making that connection? What is your favorite color? Are all your questions going to be this juvenile? If you prefer something weightier, do you volunteer? No. Do you donate? Yes. What causes do you donate towards? Endangered wildlife. What's with the face? It's on auto-renewal. I just haven't canceled it yet. You've mentioned a mentor figure before. No way I ever called her a mentor. A busybody, maybe. World record holder for billable hours spent under the influence, perhaps. Or just, cougar from hell. If she had rubbed off on me in any way, I'd have hives. I see. Is she a smoker? Lastly, do you know your 3 sizes? I do. Would you tell me? That's private. You value your privacy very highly, don't you? More like everyone else doesn't value it enough. Water's rising, the world's getting smaller, literally, less real estate to go around. And everything's connected to everything else. These days, just wanting some time or space to yourself is considered selfish or worse. Only the guilty have something to hide. I don't like that phrase. Laws like the MOB Act have made it so anonymity and privacy are luxuries. Privileges reserved for the privileged. If anyone below their tax bracket tries to claw away a little bit of it for themselves, well, it can only be because they're guilty, right? Is that why you became a criminal defense attorney? To defend people's innocence? That's private. Interesting. Oh, this was very good. Very, very good. Even more good, because there was extra stuff that we saw. Very cool stuff here. I'm wondering if the bugs that I got, I'm assuming those are bugs, were because I was using a mouse and a controller, but fancy. Oh, wait, hold on. They put her in the, I'm in front of it. Heart Fate Killer. Cute. Return. All right, well, anyway, this was... Go back. Go back? How do I go back? How do I go back? I don't know how to go back.
All right, it doesn't matter anymore. We're done. So anyway, this was Of the Devil. Fantastic. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, I got to stretch. A fantastic title. I'm very much looking forward to seeing where it goes in the future. However, until next time, citizens, I am afraid this is going to have to be... Oh, links in the description, as always. And, yeah. Until next time, citizens, I'm afraid this is going to have to be... Farewell.